"Big Brother Yun, what happened to you?" Startled, Feng Xue'er worriedly said. At this moment, she suddenly saw a layer of black aura slowly surging from Xianxia's body. This layer of black aura was very thin in the beginning, but it was gradually becoming thicker, and it clearly carried an extremely ominous presence. "Kei, Xue'er." Xianxia's palm was tightly clutching his own chest as he painfully said, "Hurry and bring me back to Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley." The space in front of Xianxia speedily distorted, revealing the primordial profound arc evidently. Xianxia knew for certain that with his present condition, forcing himself to make his way back to Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley was impossible, and there was a need to use the primordial profound arc. "Hurry and go." The little demon empress hurriedly reached out her hands to grab Xianxia and Feng Xue'er, entering the primordial profound arc in a flash of white light. Then, they disappeared along with the primordial profound arc. SSS, greatest ambition under heaven's palm, was in bone-piercing pain, and this form of pain was different from all the injuries he had ever suffered in his entire lifetime. It was an extremely strange, ice-cold, scorching sensation. Even with his powerful cultivation of a mid-level monarch and the protection formed by nature energy, he could only slightly suppress that pain after a few dozen breaths. What in the world, just what in the world is? Cold sweat constantly dripped down from greatest ambition under heaven's forehead. He took in a long breath and glanced at Yun Qinghang. After hesitating for a short moment, he said, "The black aura earlier seems to slightly resemble the one on Xuanyuan Wenquan's body." Yun Qinghang did not speak for a long while, and then he lightly sighed. As if he was speaking to himself, he said, "We can ask Chair about it after he gets back." The primordial profound arc instantly transferred to the entrance of Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. Carrying Xianxia, the little demon empress and Feng Xue'er quickly flew into Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. From the time they left until their return, the difference was not even 2 hours. Passing through the land of tumbling flames, they once again arrived at the end of Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. Before they even stopped their bodies, Feng Xue'er had already anxiously shouted out, "Golden Crow Divine Spirit, please save Big Brother Yun." Seemingly at the instant Feng Xue'er's voice fell, that pair of golden eyes that carried boundless flames and might had already appeared high in the sky, shooting a searing golden light upon the entire Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. "You three came back at the right time. This noble one has something to ask of you three." The voice of the Golden Crow's soul carried a deep sense of heaviness. "The individual who fought the three of you earlier, just who is he? And what's with the profound arts he's using?" The little demon empress anxiously said, "Regarding the Golden Crow Divine God's questions, we will definitely inform you everything we know. However, I plead for the Golden Crow Divine God to first heal Xianxia. He's currently..." Xianxia curled up on the ground. The black aura entangling his body was occasionally thin and sometimes thick. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat, and his facial features were all cramming together. Evidently, he was suffering immense pain, but he was enduring with all his might, unwilling to leak out a sound. "Save him," the Golden Crow Soul's voice sounded quite disdainful. "Could he have once again been injured by the heavenly poison star god? Before she even finished her words, the Golden Crow Soul's tone suddenly changed. "This aura, clang." A ray of golden light shot down from its mouth, enveloping Xianxia. When the golden light came into contact with Xianxia's body, it stopped for a short while. Immediately after, the streak of light in Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley fiercely changed. The golden eyes in the sky suddenly widened. Behind them, the several hundred kilometers of sea of flames and volcanoes were as if they had encountered a disaster, as they billowed with overflowing flames. "Golden Crow Divine God?" Little Demon Empress raised her head in shock. She was unable to imagine just what reason could make it lose control in such a manner. As the almighty divine spirit of illusory demon realm, it actually looked as if it had suddenly suffered some sort of immense shock. "Leave Xianxia here, you two immediately leave this place," Golden Crow's soul commanded. "For 24 hours, no one is allowed to enter this place, including you two." Its voice was especially heavy and sullen. It did not have the slightest intention to explain, nor did it pursue the matter regarding Xuanyuan Wenquan either. Seeing its reaction, the little demon empress and Feng Xue'er's hearts raced. Feng Xue'er anxiously said, "Golden Crow Divine Spirit, Big Brother Yun, he just what?" "No need for further words, go on then." The golden eyes shone with a bright light, and 2 rays of golden flames descended from the skies. They landed on the little demon empress and Feng Xue'er, instantly expelling them out of Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. Sensing that the two girls had left, Xianxia slowly raised his head and said with difficulty, "Golden Crow Divine Spirit, please, with my individual strength alone, I'm basically unable to suppress." "There's no need to talk. There will come a time for you to explain," Golden Crow's soul coldly said. When she spoke, a golden halo of flames had already gathered in Xianxia's surroundings, and then she muttered to itself, "It seems like this noble one wanting to continue existing in this world for 10 years is already an impossible task." Xianxia gratefully and agonizingly forced out a smile. Then he closed his eyes as he focused on taking in the energy coming from the Golden Crow's soul. 4 months ago, the Devil Origin Orb which Moon's Slaughter Devil Sovereign shot into his profound veins right before perishing had become a devil's nightmare that was buried in his body. Even with Jasmine's strength, she was unable to drive it out. It would one day relapse, and this was a point which Xianxia was clearly aware of. However, he never expected that it would come this quickly, and never did he actually expect that the relapse would be this intense. Back then, Jasmine's power was what sealed the Devil Origin Orb. Because she was afraid that it would harm his profound veins, Jasmine merely dared to use a measly amount of energy to seal the Devil Origin Orb. However, she had clearly said that it would be sealed for at least 6 months. Furthermore, before she left, she had said that even if the energy she used to seal the Devil Origin Orb disappeared, Xianxia could still use his own energy to seal it. Not to mention that Xianxi's strength back then was a far cry from now. However, presently not only did the relapse happen way earlier than expected, the devil aura being emitted out was enormous to the point where he was basically unable to suppress it. If we were to compare the former Devil Origin Orb as just a devil seed that was planted in his body, then now, it was as if a violent devil god had suddenly awakened. After the Golden Crow's soul bestowed its soul origin to Xianxia, its own power had declined by a huge extent. However, it was after all, a soul fragment of the primordial divine beast, the Golden Crow. When Xianxia was immersed in the blazing golden flames, surging energy poured into his body like huge waves, and they charged right into his profound veins. In an instant, the black aura on Xianxia's body slowly receded, and his complexion looked much better than before. He took an upright sitting posture and focused his mind. The great way of the Buddha revolved with all its might, as it suppressed the rampaging Devil Origin Orb along with the energy from the Golden Crow's soul. Under the immense divine energy of the Golden Crow's soul, the energy of the Devil Origin Orb finally began to be suppressed little by little. Streams of golden light swirled towards the pitch-black Devil Origin Pearl and wrapped around it layer by layer, gradually sealing its energy completely, until not a single strand of dark devil energy was being emitted out. Xianxia opened his eyes, and his complexion had already been completely restored to normal. A total of 6 hours had passed. Had he not possessed the physique of a dragon god along with the great way of the Buddha, like anyone else he would have been devoured by the dark devil aura that filled his body, long before the 6 hours passed, and Devil Origin Pearl could be completely sealed. "Thank you, Golden Crow Divine Spirit, you saved me again. The various graces you have given me can never be repaid in this lifetime of mine," Xianxia said from the depths of his heart. "No need for the unnecessary empty pleasantries." The voice of the Golden Crow's soul was evidently several times frailer than usual, and even the golden glow in its eyes dimmed. Without its soul origin, its energy could no longer be restored, and every bit of energy used would be energy lost. In these 6 hours it used to aid Xianxia in sealing the Devil Origin Orb. The remaining 10 years of existence it initially had been shortened by exactly 2 years. "Now you should give this noble one a proper explanation." The eyes of the Golden Crow's soul fiercely widened. "Why do you have the Devil Origin Orb in your body? That is clearly something that should have long since been annihilated from this world." "Explaining this matter might be a little troublesome," Xianxia said. There was no need for him to conceal anything in the face of the Golden Crow's soul, not to mention that it had even saved his life. "In that case, how about you let this noble one investigate your memories?" Anyone, no matter if he was the most normal of mortals, would definitely be unwilling to have his memories looked through by someone else. This time, however, Xianxia actually nodded without the least bit of hesitation. "All right." The Golden Crow's soul was evidently caught off guard by his straightforwardness. It no longer spoke further as a golden light spilled down and penetrated into Xianxia's unresisting soul. In an instant, the memories from the time he left illusory demon realm poured into the mind of the Golden Crow's soul like a flood. Reading around a year's worth of memories was a considerably short process. However, after the Golden Crow's soul retracted the golden light, it sank into a long period of silence. Its constantly flashing golden eyes highlighted the immense shock it had in its mind. After a long while, the Golden Crow's soul finally said, "Regarding the person called Xuanyuan who exchanged blows with you three today, this noble one was able to sense a very faint devil aura from his body, along with the aura of the illusory devil tome of eternal night. This noble one had suspected it was just my imagination, because devils have long been extinct. Never did I expect that it was truly the aura of the illusory devil tome of eternal night. This noble one inherited the will of the Golden Crow and has existed in this world for such a long time, yet I have never sensed it this entire time. In the faraway continent in the north, there actually hid a true devil that had survived since the primordial era. It had looked into Xianxia's memories, so naturally, it knew about the existence of the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign. Fortunately, he was unintentionally discovered by you and has been exterminated otherwise, if his soul imprint recovered. With his instincts as a devil, along with the hatred accumulated from being sealed for millions of years, this world definitely would have faced an incomparably terrifying tribulation. It is a feat comparable to saving this seemingly peaceful world with just your strength alone." Xianxia lightly smiled as he shook his head. "I killed him simply to protect my own life, because if he did not die, I would die instead. That's all there is to it. As for saving the world, I don't think I have such determination nor that kind of saintly heart. Furthermore, so what if I have killed the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign? Compared to him, Xuanyuan is 100 times more terrifying." "You're wrong. How can there possibly be a comparison to speak of between a devil god and a mortal? Though Xuanyuan of today seems to far surpass the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign you exterminated, the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign was a true devil. The moment it truly recovered, its strength would basically be something you are incapable of imagining. Even with the physique of a dragon god, if it wished to destroy you, it would just take the time it takes to form a thought. As for Xuanyuan, he had but just received a thin amount of devil blood and a slightly frail devil soul. Even if he's capable of achieving perfect compatibility with all of his power, it would be impossible for him to truly step into the divine way. But though my strength has improved by leaps and bounds in these 3 months, I'm still far from being Xuanyuan's match. Today, if not because there were still remnants of Feng Xue'er's soul that had yet to be destroyed, I would have already lost my life. Furthermore, Xuanyuan personally told me today that his devil blood has yet to awaken completely. 3 months from now, it will reach the state of perfection. When that time comes, his strength will definitely far surpass the strength he had today. I really can't figure out how I'm supposed to go against him." Xianxia raised his head and muttered to himself with a low voice. "If only Jasmine was here. Even if she was still unable to make use of her own power like before, she'd still able to teach me what I should do." From Xianxia's body, the Golden Crow's soul could sense a heavy gloom. About a year ago, when they first met, Xianxia respected yet did not fear it. Even when facing its pressure, he still carried a brilliant demeanor. When it wanted to forcefully strip away his phoenix bloodline, he stubbornly rejected it and even lashed out at it with furious curses. Back then, when facing his curses, not only was it not angered, it instead felt that he was even more pleasing to the eye. Because as the soul of the Golden Crow, its personality was extremely prideful and violent in the first place. But today, it sensed gloom coming from Xianxia's body. It was uncertain if the reason behind this gloom was because of the despair brought about by Xuanyuan's strength or Jasmine's departure. Perhaps it was the latter. "Golden Crow Divine Spirit, with your power, are you able to defeat Xuanyuan?" Xianxia asked. However, from his tone, he evidently did not carry much hope. "If it was a year ago, I might be able to do it," Golden Crow's soul bluntly said. "But now, even if I go against the will of the Golden Crow and forcefully leave this place, I'm definitely unable to exterminate Xuanyuan." Xianxia closed his eyes, his 2 hands slightly clenched. Jasmine's departure, Moonflower's scheme, the mutated Xuanyuan and the Devil Origin Orb breakout. While he was still submerged in loss due to Jasmine's departure and had yet to regain his senses from it, everything suddenly came flooding in. In the past, no matter how terrifying of a crisis he faced, his willpower had never dimmed. However, now that Jasmine was not by his side, he felt that half of his soul had been forcefully sliced away, depressed and powerless. After losing her, he then truly understood his reliance on Jasmine had far surpassed his imagination. Don't you want to know why the devil origin orb in your profound veins suddenly escaped from its seal and acted up? Golden Crow's soul suddenly said. I have doubts about this problem as well. The light in Xianxia's eyes stirred. Golden Crow, divine spirit, could it be that you know the answer? That devil origin orb that came from the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign initially possessed a very weak power. If not because you were heavily injured after the horrendous battle with the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign, you could have even sealed it yourself. The Golden Crow's soul slowly explained. Its voice still carried an evident frailty. It merged into your profound veins, so it will naturally absorb the profound energy in your profound meridians. It is like a darkness seed which should have been close to death. Though it relies on your profound energy to awaken, it's still something that belongs to the realm of the devil gods. The power it gradually gives birth to will one day far surpass your own degree and realm of strength. If you wish to live, either you destroy your own profound veins or constantly seal it completely, preventing its ever-increasing devil aura from leaking out. Initially, the awakened power of this devil origin orb would have required quite a considerable amount of time before it could reach the extent of harming your life. With the profound strength you had 3 months ago, you could have sealed it over and over again by relying on your own strength for at least several dozens of years. However, in these 3 months, due to your Dragon Phoenix dual cultivation with Feng Xue'er, your vitality and profound energy were both in extremely active states in every single moment. The realm of your profound strength has even risen explosively within these 3 short months. However, due to a terrible coincidence, the sustained active and stimulated states sped up the growth of the devil origin orb's power, finally leading to it breaking out of the seal your master placed and releasing a dark devil aura that you're unable to endure. Xianxia. This is negligence on this noble one's part. If this noble one had discovered the existence of the devil origin orb in your body 3 months ago, it would not have led to the result today. The Golden Crow's soul let out a short sigh. It did not reveal just how terrifying the devil origin orb in Xianxia's body had become in a straightforward manner. Though it was sealed with great difficulty, Xianxia instead laughed and shook his head. This is not your mistake. If you have not guided Xue'er to conduct dual cultivation with me, I would have been dead 3 months ago. The devil origin orb is within my profound veins, so I have long had the expectation that it would end this way, though it has arrived a little too soon. Xianxia's voice paused for a moment before he suddenly said, regarding the devil origin orb, I have a very heavy doubt. Why was it able to merge with my profound veins so easily? The profound veins of a profound practitioner are the locations where profound energy is condensed in, and they will expel all foreign substances, let alone the fact that my profound veins are even the profound veins of a profound god. Why did they directly merge with the devil origin orb that belonged to a devil without the slightest rejection? This noble one is similarly unable to comprehend this matter either, the Golden Crow's soul slowly said. The devil origin orb is the orb of origin energy of a devil god. The birth of a devil god begins with the devil origin orb itself. It bears the origin energy of a devil god and is the core of a devil's profound veins. The moment a devil loses it, or its devil origin orb is destroyed, the devil will lose all of its powers and might even die there and then. If the devil origin orb of a devil god is destroyed, the devil god can take over another devil god's devil origin orb, and then assimilate it into its own profound veins through a certain unique method, regaining its power from then on. Though it sounds bizarre and its possibility is unproven, in the era of gods, there were indeed such related rumors. However, with the profound veins of a true god or a mortal, wanting to merge them with a devil god's orb of origin energy is basically an impossible matter. Unless... The Golden Crow's soul evidently had thought of something, but its voice had suddenly ground to a halt. Even its golden eyes had shrunk several times over. Unless what? Xianxia urged. This noble one can't answer you because this is merely an extremely ludicrous conjecture. There's no need to ask any further. Xianxia could hear the abnormal change in the tone of the Golden Crow's soul. It must have thought of something, yet was unwilling to tell him. Furthermore, it was unwilling to speak about it in an extremely firm manner. Let this noble one see that black jade you obtained from the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign. The Golden Crow's soul intentionally diverted away from the topic, not wanting Xianxia to ask about it any further. Black jade. Xianxia was startled for a moment, and then instantly recalled that mysterious black jade he picked up next to the moon-slaughtered devil sovereign's remains, which he was seemingly about to forget about. He hurriedly took it out. The perfectly round black jade was the size of a palm, and it felt ice-cold and heavy when held. Its entire body was flawlessly pitch black and extremely glossy, with its opposite side completely similar. There was not a single mark or pattern on it, nor was there even the least bit presence of profound energy. Just from looking at its exterior and aura alone, this could be nothing more than a normal jade stone. It could not even be considered a profound jade of the lowest grade. However, just by the fact that it could stay perfectly unharmed under the moon-slaughtered devil sovereign's strength, it was definitely not a regular object. A ray of golden light shot down and the mysterious black jade fluttered up from Xianxia's hand, floating in the air. Then, it was enveloped by the golden light. However, an instant later, all of the golden light completely disappeared and the mysterious black jade fell from the air, returning back onto Xianxia's hand. "Just what in the world is this?" Xianxia raised his head and asked. "Don't know. Even you don't know?" Xianxia's face was filled with astonishment. Since this black jade came from the moon-slaughtered devil sovereign, it was definitely something that originated from the era of gods millions of years ago. It was not unexpected for Jasmine to be unaware of the matter of that era. However, the Golden Crow's soul was a soul fragment of the Golden Crow divine beast, and it carried a portion of the Golden Crow's primordial memories. It actually did not recognize it either. Just like you two, the moment this noble one's energy dwelled within, it disappeared without a trace. For this situation to occur, there's more or less two possibilities, the Golden Crow's soul slowly described. Either within it dwells an independent small world like this Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley, which this noble one created, or the principles of power within are extremely profound, a plane which our powers are unable to make contact with. Together with the moon-slaughtered devil sovereign, it was able to stay perfectly unharmed in the evil god's seal for millions of years. It's definitely not a normal object. Most likely, it's a devil jade or devil artifact belonging to the realm of the devil gods. Another possibility is that it can only be awakened by the power of the devil way. Xianxia put away the mysterious black jade and casually said, "I have been curious about it this entire time. But now what it is basically no longer of any importance. Golden Crow Divine Spirit, it's time I return. If I stay for too long, they will be worried." Xianxia lowered his head as he deeply bowed towards the Golden Crow's soul and sincerely said, "Back then when we first met, I once scoffed at you, made you out as selfish and arrogant, and that you were not worthy of being a god. Not only did you not punish me, you instead bestowed me a new lease on life and have several times saved my life, even at the expense of greatly damaging your own lifespan. For this huge grace, Xianxia truly does not know how to repay you. This noble one naturally has my own selfishness for bestowing you my final bloodline and soul energy. There's no need for your gratitude or repayment," the Golden Crow's soul lightly said. "However, I'm destined to disappoint you." Xianxia lowly sighed as he turned around and left. "You don't have to be this pessimistic," the Golden Crow's soul suddenly said. "As someone merged with the remnant power of the eternal Night Devil clan, Xue'er Wenshin is indeed not someone you can deal with right now. However, with the state he is in, after awakening all the power of the devil blood and devil soul, his cultivation will forever be halted, not being able to make the slightest of improvements in the rest of his life. Even his lifespan will be greatly shortened as well. However, you're different. Not only do you carry extraordinary talent, you possess the powers of various gods as well. In the future, there will definitely come a day where you surpass him. Before that, you can borrow the use of the primordial profound arc to flee to other dimensions where Xue'er Wenshin can't find you." "I can indeed flee." Xianxia stopped his feet and spoke with a low voice. "But Kei definitely would not. My father and mother definitely would not either. Furthermore, does the current me really have a future?" The Golden Crow's soul no longer spoke. After a long period of silence, it let out a long sigh. "Go on then." A golden light flashed, and Xianxia had already been sent out of Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. The light from the golden eyes retracted, and as its eyes closed, it slowly muttered to itself. "Back then, when I investigated his memories, I had thought that he was bestowed with great luck and was favored by the heavens. Along with the powers of the dragon god and evil god he already possessed, I bestowed everything to him. Never did I expect that he would end up in such a crisis. This is fate. All are powerless to go against it." After being sent out of Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley, just as Xianxia had expected, Feng Xue'er and the little demon empress were waiting there, staying there the entire time. Seeing Xianxia's appearance, their eyes shone with a similar luster as they hurriedly charged over. "Big brother Yan, how are you right now?" Feng Xue'er said with the same worried tone. "It looks like you're already fine." After the little demon empress swept her eyes at Xianxia's aura, her expression and eyes had evidently relaxed. "Haha, but of course," Xianxia said with a relaxed expression. "With the divine power of the Golden Crow Divine Spirit, I'm naturally safe and sound." "That's great," Feng Xue'er happily placed down the heavy burden in her heart and said, puzzled. "But just what happened? Why did Big Brother Yan suddenly? You both still have injuries on your bodies and require immediate rest and attention. Let's go back to Demon Imperial City first. They must definitely be worried to the point of breaking down." The little demon empress looked at him deeply and said with a quiet voice, "Let us return." Though Xianxia was fought back, the influence he brought definitely could not be calmed down in just a short span of time. Demon Imperial City was presently in a state of chaos. The people who had fled out of the city beforehand had already received the news and were beginning to return one after another. The Great City Barrier Formation had already been retracted, but the entire Demon Imperial City felt as though it had been enclosed in a large wok. The atmosphere was incomparably stifling. Though they did not suffer the crisis of being annihilated, they had all personally witnessed Xianxia's terror. Furthermore, he had simply fled today and was not killed. There would come a day, or to be exact, not long later, he would definitely return. This terrifying truth was like a nightmare pressing down on every single one of their hearts. Under the guidance of the guardian families and the various Duke palaces, the work on the aftermath in Demon Imperial City was being undergone. The entire Yun family was also filled with the sunken atmosphere. Yun Qinghang and Mu Yuru had been standing outside the main gate, their eyes facing the northern direction as they hoped for Yun Qi to safely return. Xiao Yun and his wife had also been standing at the side to accompany them, constantly consoling them, until they saw, with their own eyes, Yun Qi, Feng Xue'er and the little demon empress safely return and land right before them. Mu Yuru did not care about the crowd that was present as she leapt forward with tears spilling from her eyes, hugging tightly onto her own son and beginning to cry out loud like a child. "Mother, this child is not filial, always making you worry and spill tears," Yun Qi said guiltily. Yun Qinghang's eyes were slightly watery. He felt that though Yun Qi's aura was a little frail and messy, he no longer had the anomaly from before. His heart and mind instantly loosened as he bowed towards the little demon empress and said, "Little demon empress, your body has injuries. Please tend to them as soon as possible. You must not neglect your divine body." The little demon empress slightly shook her head. "This empress injuries are not severe, though that's not the same for Yun Qi. Though his injuries on the surface are light, his internal injuries are considerably heavy, and it seems like his mental strength has been completely drained. It's best to hurry and prepare a place for him to tend to his injuries. As for the other matters, we can talk tomorrow." "Ah!" Before Mu Yuru could even wipe off her tears, she hurriedly grabbed onto Yun Qi's sleeves. "Chair, are your injuries really that severe? It's not of concern." Yun Qi shook his head with a slight smile and consoled her. "My body's self-recovery ability is extraordinary. Injuries of this extent are not much, though I am indeed a little fatigued and I wish to find a place to sleep for a while." Little demon empress, all right, Mother has already tidied your room. Hurry and get some rest. If you need anything, let Mother know," Mu Yuru anxiously said. After saying that, she turned around and pulled Feng Xue'er's hand as she looked at her with a gentle gaze. "Xue'er, in these few months, I have always hoped to see you. Chair, having you by his side is truly a blessing that he had cultivated several lifetimes for. Even I don't know how I should thank you." Mu Yuru's words threw Feng Xue'er into a slight panic. "Auntie, I did not do anything much for Big Brother Yun. These words of yours are pushing pressure onto Xue'er." "Auntie," Mu Yuru's gentle smile carried a slight degree of warmth. "Let's first head in. Chair still needs rest. After I settle him down, I have many things I wish to speak with you about. Over here, you can just treat it as your own home." "Thank you, Auntie," Feng Xue'er gently said. "Xiao Yun, our grandfather, and the rest all right?" Yun Qi asked Xiao Yun. "Don't worry, Big Brother. They are all safe and sound. The fairies of Frozen Cloud Asgard are all settled in the outer residences, and usually no one is allowed to approach there. After this, I will head over to inform them that you're already safe and sound and have grandfather and the rest put down their worries." Xiao Yun nodded and said. Amen, Yun-Chi lightly nodded. Help me apologize to grandfather, Senior Master Murong, and the rest in my stead. My present mental strength is a little heavy. Once I feel better, I will definitely head over immediately to show that I'm in good health. I understand. Big brother, have a good rest. Xiao Yun's expression was a little astonished. Yun Qingheng had been looking at Yun-Chi, his expression, his eyes, his every word and movement. From the very beginning, he had felt that Yun-Chi's condition was a little amiss, and now, that feeling had turned even heavier. His brows furrowed and finally could not help but voice out. Chair, you... Enough! Mu Yuru, however, waved her hand. Chair is injured and his mental strength is not in a good state. Let him first have a good rest. If there's any matters, we can talk to him about them tomorrow. Yun Qingheng had no choice but to close his mouth. His emotions, however, were much heavier than before. Returning to the mansion he had left for several months, he softly lay on the bed. All the noise outside were isolated by the door. Under this serenity, Yun-Chi did not immediately head to sleep, nor did he calm his heart and tend to his injuries either. Instead, he blankly looked up into the air. Not a hint of focus could be seen from his eyes. Jasmine, what in the world should the current me do? Without you by my side, even living itself has actually become so difficult. When the devil origin orb broke out, I sensed death. The feeling of death never felt so clear even back when I fell down Cloud End's cliff. Perhaps when it breaks out again next time, it will be the time of my death. After I die, Ku, Xue'er, and Yu'er, what will happen to them? What will happen to father and mother? What will happen to grandfather and Xianxia? What will happen to illusory demon realm? What will happen to frozen cloud Asgard? Could it be that they are all destined to die at Xunyuan Wenshin's hands? Kei will definitely choose to die along with the destruction of Demon Imperial City. She will definitely be more willing to die than to choose abandoning the illusory demon realm and flee. Father and mother are the same as well. For me, Xue'er has left Divine Phoenix Sect, and Yu'er has abandoned the entire Blue Wind Empire, all to accompany me to this illusory demon realm which is completely foreign to them. Right before her death, with tears in her eyes, Gong Yuxian entrusted frozen Cloud Asgard to me, grandfather and Xianxia. I have so many times sworn to definitely protect them well and have them live safely and peacefully, never again allowing them to be bullied by anyone else. However, if I die, Yun-Chi let out an extremely heavy sigh. He began to grow fearful of death, incomparably fearful of it. However, the devil origin orb that existed in his profound veins had already allowed him to see his approaching day of death. What exactly should I do to live if I'm destined to die? Then how should I exterminate Xunyuan Wenshin right before my death? Jasmine, just what should I do? After leaving you, what else am I capable of doing? 3 months ago, the scene of when Jasmine decisively left surfaced before his eyes. Though it had already been 3 months, it was still causing his chest to feel heavy and stifling. He had clearly remembered her every word, every tone, every gaze, and every expression she had back then. Within this memory fragment are all the words that I am unable to say to you right now. Jasmine's delicate face was still cold and detached, but her eyes faintly shimmered for an instant. 24 hours from now, the seal on this memory fragment will automatically undo itself. At that time, you will know what I want to tell you. This morning, I had resolved myself for this moment to come the moment I had sensed Moonflower's aura. So I handed something to Hunger, and she carried it back with her into the sky poison pearl. After I have left, you can take it from her. Even though it will not be able to increase your cultivation by too much, it will at least be able to increase your lifespan by several thousand years. Yun-Chi instantly flipped up from the bed as if he had been electrocuted. The memory fragment Jasmine left him. The moment Jasmine left, he suffered from Moonflower's scheme. Even when he returned to illusory demon realm, he had been unconscious and close to death the entire time. After that, in Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley, he was forced to undergo 3 months of dual cultivation with Feng Xue'er and the little demon empress, and the entire time so he did not have the opportunity to read the memory fragment Jasmine left him. Yun-Chi quickly gathered his concentration, found the memory fragment Jasmine left behind in his sea of consciousness, and gently touched it. Instantly, a voice rang from deep within his heart. Yun-Chi, just 2 short words that were completely emotionless, yet they caused Yun-Chi's entire body to feel numb, and his eyes instantly became warm. His soul that was now hollow was also instantly filled up by something warm, because that was Jasmine's voice. During the past 7 years, this was the voice that he had heard the most every day. In this lifetime, and perhaps even including his previous life, the voice that he had heard the most was definitely Jasmine's voice. Now, although it had only been 3 short months, hearing Jasmine's voice again caused his soul to tremble violently. It was as though it had been centuries since then. After our separation this time, we will not reunite again. In our fate of 7 years, you have saved my life, and I've sculpted your life. Following this separation, our debts are cleared and our relationship shall end. From today onwards, I will no longer be your master. You don't have to miss me, just treat it as if I had never appeared before. I will do the same. Jasmine's voice was ice-cold and heartless, just like what she personally said when she left him that day. The only reason why I left behind this memory fragment is because I only want to say some stuff that I couldn't say to you face to face. There are 2 matters in which I've lied to you. Firstly, what I told you was really not my actual name. I am the eldest princess of the Star God realm. Jasmine is not my name but my title. Xianxia, Jasmine was just her princess title and not her name, but that was all that she said. She did not reveal her real name. However, this wasn't important to Xianxia, because no matter what her real name was, she would still be Jasmine. Secondly, Jasmine's voice paused for a very long moment, as though even using this method, it was difficult for her to say what she wanted to say. Is regarding Chu Yuechen. Xianxia's heart suddenly clenched. That day, after completely getting rid of the devilish poison, I proceeded with my promise and searched for Chu Yuechen within the profound sky continent. There is much life on the profound sky continent, and even with my powers, it is not possible for me to search through all the life. However, it could still search the auras of those above the Emperor Profound Realm. However, among them, Chu Yuechen's wasn't present. Jasmine's voice was very calm, but the speed of her talking was obviously slower than usual. As for Xianxia, his heart sank ferociously and an ice-cold feeling spread across his chest, suffocating him. That day, what Jasmine said to him was, although her devilish poison had been cleansed, the strength of her soul was still insufficient for her to search for Chu Yuechen at a place like the profound sky continent, and she needed to wait until her body was reconstructed. Chu Yuechen is your heart's greatest worry and pain. After much consideration, I chose to lie to you. When I reconstructed my body, although I did not hold much hope, I searched for Chu Yuechen's aura once again. This time, the aura I searched was not just those above the Emperor Profound Realm. I also searched those in the Sky and Earth Profound Realm as well. However, I still could not find her aura. Although Chu Yuechen's profound arts were self-crippled then, her Emperor Profound power should still remain. Even if her profound strength did not improve and deteriorated instead, her profound strength should not have fallen by more than 1 realm, unless she had been crippled by someone else. Therefore, she's either dead or her profound strength has been crippled. Given her looks, if it were the latter, the consequences would be worse than death. With Chu Yuechen's temperament, she would undoubtedly end her own life. Xianxia, when you know this, you'd be devastated. However, remember, this isn't your fault. Beside you are people who share the same bloodline as you, friends who would die for you, and a huge herd of women. Do not let the passing of one affect all of this. I'll give you 3 days to grieve, but after 3 days, you have to forget everything. Treat it as though there was no Chu Yuechen and no me in your life. In the fragment, all the voices of the memory were released, and Jasmine's voice finally stopped. Bang! All of Xianxia's strength left his body, and he slumped down weakly, the back of head knocking violently against the wall. He closed his eyes, his face trembling with pain. His arm twisted, and his palm grabbed firmly onto his chest. Within the sounds of meat tearing, his fingers dug deep into his flesh, leaving behind streaks of blood. However, he could not feel the pain at all, as his consciousness and soul had long since been consumed by immeasurable grief. This isn't real. His body trembled until it spasmed, and all the aura within him was a mess, relapsing the already calm internal injury within him. His body collapsed and he fell off the bed. Knock, knock, knock. Outside, gentle knocking noises entered the room, which was followed by Kang Yue's voice. Husband, may I enter? Kang Yue stood quietly in front of the door and held a bowl of dessert that she had just made. After knocking and not getting a response, she lifted up her hand again but stopped in midair this time. After some hesitation, she chose to put down her hand, turn around, and prepared to leave. However, after just taking 2 steps, her heart suddenly felt an inexplicable strong feeling of unease. She swiftly turned around and pushed open the room door. The scene before her eyes caused her to be dumbstruck. Streaks of blood spread from the bed all the way to the wall. Yun Qi shrunk to the corner, his head between his knees and his right hand clutching his chest. All 5 fingers were deep in his flesh, dripping with blood. His entire body gave off a dark aura of despair. "Whose husband?" Feng Xue'er lost her composure, the dessert smashing to the ground as she ran towards Yun Qi while screaming in shock and hugged him tightly. The moment she opened her mouth, she had already started crying. "Husband, husband, what happened? Don't scare me, husband." Feng Xue'er's voice seemed to have awakened the soul of Yun Qi, who was trapped in an abyss of despair. He slowly looked up, the corners of his mouth, his nose, his eyes, and his ears. There were trails of blood from all these orifices. "Xue'er!" His mouth cramped as a raspy voice was filled with immense pain. "Husband, what has happened to you?" Feng Xue'er was so frightened that she was almost going to sob loudly. I'll go call for father and mother." A hand held onto Feng Xue'er as Yun Qi gradually shook his head. "I'm all right, just let me hug you for a while and I'll be fine." He embraced Feng Xue'er and laid his head on her chest. Initially, his grip was light. However, it soon became tighter and tighter unconsciously, as though he was a baby that has lost its sense of safety. Feeling the chaotic aura within Yun Qi starting to slowly calm down, Feng Xue'er's panicking heart started to calm down as well. She stuck her soft body even closer to him and placed her petite hand on his back, softly holding him. Their numerous embraces had always been her lying on his chest, and that had always been when her life felt the most safe and most satisfied. This was the first time Yun Qi laid on her chest looking weak like an injured child. "Husband, no matter what happens, I'll always be by your side," Feng Xue'er muttered. "Even if you lose everything, you'll never lose me." Yun Qi hugged Feng Xue'er even more tightly. Yun family Great Hall. Mu Yuru was talking to Feng Xue'er. In terms of appearance, Mu Yuru had always firmly believed that the little demon empress was the most perfect woman in the world, and that there could never be a woman that could be placed on a similar level. However, now that she met Feng Xue'er, even as a woman, she felt as though she was in a trance from meeting a deity. Not only that, even her profound cultivation did not pale in comparison to the little demon empress. Most importantly, she was extremely devoted to Yun Qi. Although this was only their first meeting, she felt an unexplainable liking for Feng Xue'er. She held her hand and had not let go ever since. Following an icy cold aura, Murong Xianxia and Chu Yueli entered and paid respects to Mu Yuru. "Madam Yun, we heard that Asgard Master has returned. We wonder if he's well. We sisters would like to go pay our respects." "Senior Master Murong, Senior Master Chu, you all don't have to worry. Big Brother Yun is fine already and is resting now. His body should fully recover in a few days." Feng Xue'er smiled as she consoled. "That's good." Murong Xianxia and Chu Yueli heaved a sigh of relief. The worry on their icy faces finally seemed to alleviate slightly. Mu Yurong looked at them and smiled gently. "You all tire yourselves for Chair, abandoned your ancestral grounds and came to this foreign land. Yet you still show such care towards him. For Chair to receive such treatment from you all is his fortune." Mu Yuru's words caused the 2 of them to be slightly afraid. "Madam Yun, please don't say that. Asgard Master has once saved our frozen cloud Asgard. If it weren't for him, our Asgard would have long since ceased to exist." "That's right." Murong Xianxia nodded slightly in agreement. "Asgard Master has saved us numerous times from the perils of extinction, and we are in his debt for still existing today. If it weren't for Asgard Master, we sisters and the other disciples would have already passed away in the profound sky continent. Furthermore, back then, we did not protect our senior sister, nor did we protect the child of Asgard Master and our senior sister. However, Asgard Master did not blame us and treated us kindly. Not only did he save us numerous times, he never viewed us as burdens, and even when his life was threatened, he never gave up on us. The debt we owe Asgard Master is something that we cannot repay in this life." Murong Xianxia's voice gradually softened, because she saw that Mu Yuru's smiling face had suddenly stiffened, and her expression remained fixed there. Mu Yuru held onto the chair for support and slowly stood up. Her eyes looked listless as she looked at Murong Xianxia. What did you just say? Chair's child?" Mu Yuru's reaction caused both Murong Xianxia and Chu Yueli to be stunned at the same time. "Madam Yun, regarding this matter, could it be that Asgard Master has never mentioned it before? Is it really Chair's child? Chair has a child." Mu Yuru became agitated as she grabbed Murong Xianxia's arm and worriedly said, "Why hasn't Chair mentioned it before? What does didn't protect properly mean? Who is your senior sister? Just what happened?" Murong Xianxia's mouth remained half agape. She realized that she had gotten into trouble and said something that shouldn't be said. However, since she had already mentioned it, she couldn't just stop there in front Mu Yuru's earnest expression. She could only bite the bullet and slowly recount the matters concerning Chu Yuechen back then to Mu Yuru. Mu Yuru slowly sat back down, her expression stunned, and she could not focus for some time. Madam Yun, don't worry. Even though Senior Sister has lost her profound arts within Blue Wind Nation, there still isn't anyone that could possibly bully her. A good person like her is undoubted safe, and she's definitely leading a safe life now and isn't bothered by anyone. There won't be any problems, Meng Xianxia consoled. Chu Yueli bit her lips, her expression slightly dreamy. 6 years ago, Mu Yuru muttered while lost in thoughts. 6 whole years, the child is already 5 Chair's child. Auntie, don't worry, Feng Xue'er consoled softly. Big Brother Yun will definitely find, Big Brother Yun. Yun Qi walked in from the entrance, and by his side was Kang Yue holding his arm. Asgard Master. Murong Xianxia and Chu Yueli hurried forward. Murong Xianxia said with unease, Asgard Master, Senior Master, no worries. Yun Qi looked pale, but he still smiled gently. Just now when I was outside, I already heard a little. Regarding this matter, I never knew how to break it to my parents. Now that Senior Master has said it, that's one thing off my mind. Chair. Mu Yuru stood up and walked to his side, her eyes looked teary. She said to him seriously, even though Mother has never seen this Chu Yuechen girl before, she was willing to cripple her profound arts, get kicked out of her sect, and ruin her good name to exchange for half a life of misery. You must definitely find her and never mistreat her for your entire life. Yun Qi looked up. Millions of emotions flooded his heart. Just as he was about to answer, hurried footsteps were suddenly heard coming from the outside. Bang! Mother! Xiao Yun rushed in panikedly. He tripped, and even before he managed to stand up steadily, he shouted in panic, Mother, hurry, seventh sister, she. What about number 7? It seems like she's, Xiao Yun said as he gasped for breath. It seems like she's about to give birth. Mu Yuru let out a startled cry as she shoved Xiao Yun aside and rushed out of there like the wind. Xiao Yun also hurriedly followed behind her. He did not even have time to greet Yun Qi or Kang Yue. Husband, let's go check on them as well, Kang Yue said in a gentle voice. She consoled Yun Qi in his grief, then changed into new clothes. Even though he looked as if he had returned to normal, she could still clearly sense the extreme heaviness which weighed down on Yun Qi's heart. All of them had been eagerly awaiting the arrival of Xiao Yun's and number 7 under Heaven's child. So she hoped that the birth of this small life would help to dissipate some of the heavy gloom that shrouded Yun Qi's heart. The already ultra-busy Yun family immediately started to get even more frenetic. Yun Qinghong, who was outside the house, returned at a blazing speed. When greatest ambition under heaven, who was just about to go to the northern part of the city to oversee the great barrier which protected the entire city, received the news. It was as if a fire had been lit under his backside as he abandoned everyone and wildly sprinted towards the Yun family household. When Yun Qi, Kang Yue, and Feng Xue'er had arrived, the courtyard where Xiao Yun and number 7 under heaven stayed was filled with people bustling about. Tense and nervous voices could constantly be heard coming from behind the tightly secured door, and at times number 7 under heaven's cries of pain could be heard as well. Big brother, once he saw that Yun Qi had arrived, Xiao Yun, who had been waiting outside, hurried over to him. His face was flushed completely red, and he was nervous, tense, and completely bewildered. Congratulations, Xiao Yun, you're about to become a father, Kang Yue said with a faint smile. I wonder if it will be a boy or a girl, Feng Xue'er said in a voice filled with anticipation. Heh heh heh. Xiao Yun was both excited and nervous at the same time. Xiao Lingxi and Xiao Lai hurriedly strode through the gates of the courtyard. When she saw Yun Qi, Xiao Lingxi gave a low cry as she ran towards Yun Qi. Little Qi, are you all right? Of course I'm all right. Do I look like I'm not all right to you? Yun Qi said with a relaxed smile on his face. He arrived at Xiao Lai's side and spoke in a concerned manner. Grandfather, I have yet greeted you since I've returned. Have you grown used to staying in this place yet? It's been well. I've had an excellent time here, Xiao Lai said with a faint nod of his head. When he saw that Yun Qi seemed fine and did not seem to be greatly affected by anything, it was as if a boulder had rolled off his shoulders, relieving him greatly. He gave a sigh of lament before speaking. In the profound sky continent, I have heard rumors regarding the illusory demon realm many times. The illusory demon realm that I heard about was a land filled with completely inhumane, fiendish, brutal demons. Sigh, but when it comes to the affairs of this world, it seems like one must truly witness something before they can finally believe it. There are simply far too many people who are living a lie that has been forced on them by those with ulterior motives. Ah! The cries of pain that were emanating from the room suddenly turned into shrill screams of agony. The voices of the doctors within also grew more hurried. "It seems like it's really painful," Xianxia said in a nervous and trembling voice. "Seventh sister, you definitely need to be all right," Xianxia said with a pained expression on his face. He could not stand still, and both his eyes were anxiously fixed on the door as he continuously muttered under his breath. "Grandfather, you're only just over 60 years of age, but you're about to become a great-grandfather," Feng Xue'er said with a faint smile. Just as she finished speaking, Xianxia suddenly chimed in mischievously. "We also need to congratulate little aunt. She's about to become a grand aunt." At number percent, Xianxia's petal-like lips parted before she started getting mad. I don't want to be a grand aunt. I'm still a girl who hasn't even gotten married yet. I don't want to be a grand aunt. I don't want this." "Ha ha ha ha." Xianxia let out a loud and unrestrained laugh. He gave Xianxia a deep look before speaking in a voice that was filled with implied meaning. "Lingxi, you're not young anymore. It's about time you started to thinking about your big day." Xianxia's heart was completely flustered, and she subtly shot a sidelong glance at Xianxia. "I don't want to." Boom, following the blast of wind which sounded like a thunderclap, they saw greatest ambition under heaven rush into the courtyard in a frenzied manner. Xianxia was right beside him while the other 6 under heaven brothers trailed behind them, their bodies matted in sweat. Greatest ambition under heaven landed on the ground while roaring testily. "Seventh treasure, how is seventh treasure doing right now?" Xianxia patted his shoulder. "Brother under heaven, you don't need to worry. Number 7 is no ordinary girl, so it will definitely go smoothly. Your time will be better spent thinking of what kind of gift you want to prepare for your grandson or granddaughter." "Right, that's a good point. That's a good point indeed," greatest ambition under heaven said as he gave a quick, herky-jerky nod of his head. His hands jerked in the air before he rushed towards that tightly shut door and hollered, "Seventh treasure, father is right outside. Just give birth to a big grandchild for your father and I will give you whatever you want." "Ah?" The only response he got was a long and miserable wail of pain from number 7 under heaven, and the moment everyone heard it, their hearts tensed up. "Senior under heaven, it would be best to not speak to her for the moment, so as to not divert her attention to other things," Xianxia said. "Ah, all right." Greatest ambition under heaven immediately quieted down. But after that, he did not forget to cautiously warn his 6 sons. "Did you hear that? All of you better shut your mouths. No one is allowed to make any loud noises." Xianxia's brows twitched. He looked towards the door, his expression growing faintly serious. "Husband, what's wrong?" Feng Xue'er asked in a soft voice after she noticed the change in Xianxia's expression. Xianxia shook his head lightly. "There's nothing wrong. It's probably just me worrying too much. Seventh sister is a princess of the elf clan, so she has the protection of nature energy. It should definitely be an extremely smooth procedure." Time slowed to a trickle as they waited with anxious excitement. The activity taking place in the room continued to grow more frenzied, and number 7 under heaven's wails continued to ring out. Moreover, it seemed like each wail was more shrill than the last. "Number 7, don't be anxious, relax your body, use your strength carefully." That was Mu Yuru's voice. "Mother, I'm in so much pain, so much pain." Number 7 under heaven was laced with a deep pain. This elven princess who had grown up smothered in love had never experienced such painful torment in her entire life before. "It's all right, it will get better soon." Mu Yuru continuously consoled her, but her voice had also started to tremble as well. 1 hour went by, an entire 2 hours went by. Number 7 under heaven's miserable wails continued to ring out, but her voice had now become completely hoarse. They could also clearly hear the heavy breathing of the imperial physicians inside the room, and it was clear that their breathing was laced with panic as well. During the wait of over 2 hours, the initial anticipation, excitement, and joy had long ago turned into anxiety and worry. Xiaoyun paced back and forth, his hands snatching at his scalp or his chest every now and then. His entire body was drenched in sweat, and he haphazardly muttered under his breath, "It will be fine. It will definitely be fine." The complexion of both Xianxia and greatest under ambition under heaven had turned rather grim. They did their utmost to keep in check the ominous thoughts that ran through their heads, but that feeling of uneasiness had long ago spread through their chests, causing their hearts to seize up rigidly. Husband, seeing Xianxi's extremely grim expression, Feng Xue'er could not help but softly call out to him. Xianxi sucked in a deep breath of air before speaking. Something is wrong. Something has gone horribly wrong. If it was a normal girl, it would be very normal for their labor and childbirth to take 2 hours or more. But number 7 under heaven was definitely no ordinary girl. She had reached the tyrant profound realm, and the profound energy that she cultivated was the most pure and unsullied nature energy. She also had a constitution that far exceeded that of a normal person. So the entire process of her labor should have been exceedingly simple and smooth. Furthermore, as long as she was willing, she would not even need to endure any pain. But an entire 2 hours had already gone by, and she had been letting out miserable wails of pain throughout. Towards the end, those wails of pain sounded even more shrill than those of a normal girl. Xianxi had wanted to personally confirm the condition of number 7 under heaven many times, but he had held himself back each and every time. But right now, he finally could take it no longer. He grabbed hold of Xiao Yun and said, "Xiao Yun, you need to go inside immediately and cover 7th sister with a quilt. It seems like there is something abnormal with her condition. I need to go in and personally check on her myself." The panicked and bewildered Xiao Yun quivered, and he did not even have time to respond. He just hurriedly nodded his head as he stumbled and staggered towards the door. But just as he had just started to run, number 7 under heaven let out a loud wail, and Mu Yuru's joyous voice rang out immediately after that. "The baby has come out! The baby has come out!" Xiao Yun came to a complete halt. This was music to the ears of the tense and nervous audience. This was especially true for Xiao Lai and greatest ambition under heaven. Hot tears spilled from their eyes in that instant of emotion, and they unwittingly moved forward towards the door. Their pleasant surprise did not last for long as their expressions grew completely rigid. There was no wailing of a newborn babe which should be ringing out from that room. In fact, the entire room had gone completely silent, and there were no cries of joy nor of celebration either. "My child! Let me look at my child!" Number 7 under heaven cried in a weak and worried voice. "Madam Yun, young madam!" This was the voice of an imperial physician, and her voice was trembling. "This is a stillborn child." That shivering voice mercilessly exploded in everyone's ears like a thunderclap from a clear sky. Xiao Yun was rooted in place, his pupils slackening and his body swaying. He suddenly let out a great shout and crazily dove forward, violently smashing the room doors aside. "This isn't possible! It isn't possible!" The sound of the doors being smashed startled the already terrified physicians who were inside the room. Xiao Yun, who had rushed inside, saw Mu Yuru hugging a tiny infant to her chest, the long and uncut umbilical cord still attached to his body. But Mu Yuru's face was streaming with tears. Xiao Yun staggered forward as he roughly snatched the infant into his own embrace. The baby's soft body entered his embrace, and his movements instantly grew light and gentle. The baby that was in his arms did not move, it did not cry, and it did not breathe. It did not even have any body heat. The only feeling it imparted to Xiao Yun was the icy cold feeling that a person felt when he was being plunged into the icy abyss of despair. Thud, Xiao Yun's knees hit the ground as his body trembled in pain. Number 7 under heaven was laying on the bed, and her face was so pale that it seemed like she had just weathered a great illness. However, her eyes were dreadfully empty. It was as if someone had yanked out her soul. The sound of Xiao Yun's knees hitting the ground shook her from her nightmare. She scrambled off the bed as she let out a heart-wrenching sob. "This isn't real! This isn't real! My baby! Give me back my baby! Give me back my baby!" 7th treasure, greatest ambition under heaven, yelled as he rushed inside and hugged her firmly in his arms. Pain lanced through his heart like a knife as he said, "It's all right! It's all right! You and Xiao Yun are still so young you can have another baby. As long as the both of you are willing, you can have many, many more." "No, you're all lying to me." Number 7 under heaven voice cracked, and it seemed like she was weeping blood. This usually incomparably strong and optimistic girl. This little elf girl who had insisted on being with Xiao Yun, despite the objections of her family and the mockery of the entire world, had now completely collapsed. "My baby, you're all lying to me. Give my baby back to me. Give my baby back, ah." Mu Yuru turned her face aside, collapsing onto Yun Qingheng's shoulders as she sobbed soundlessly. Yun Qingheng raised his head and gave a heavy and deep sigh, his hands tightly clenched into fists. Xiao Lai's body swayed violently. If not for Xiao Lingxi's support, he would have long ago collapsed to the ground. Why did this happen? Feng Xue'er murmured through tightly closed lips as she wept softly. Kang Yue leaned on Xianxia's chest, her shoulders heaving incessantly. Everyone had looked forward to the joy and the newborn life, but what welcomed them instead was a dark and gloomy nightmare. Xiao Yun knelt on the ground, his soul seemingly rent from his body. Number 7 under heaven wept in the most heart-wrenching manner, causing everyone to feel as if their insides had been pierced by myriad arrows. It was so painful that it was stifling. Xianxia's expression was dark and overcast, but he still maintained enough rationality. He arrived at Xiao Yun's side, stretching a hand towards the cold and lifeless infant in his arms. Even if it was a stillborn child, number 7 under heaven should not have gone through such a long and painful labor. He had to know what exactly had gone wrong. Xianxia's finger lightly pressed against the infant's cold and delicate arm after an instant. His entire arm shot back as if he had been electrocuted. This was devil energy. Why would there be devil energy? Xiao Yun, you need to calm down first. Xianxia shoved Xiao Yun's shoulder, but he did not respond. Xianxia's eyebrows twitched as he fiercely raised his energy and gave a loud roar. Xiao Yun, 7th sister. Stop crying and calm down first. The child isn't dead, he still has life in him. But if you don't calm down now, he really will die. Xianxia's loud roar caused all the weeping to instantly stop. Number 7 under heaven was completely dumbstruck while Xiao Yun had vigorously leapt off the floor. He hugged the ice-cold baby as he spoke through trembling lips. Big brother, what did you say? Is what you're saying really true? All eyes focused on Xianxia as Mu Yuru agitatedly strode forward and asked in an excited voice. Chair, is what you're saying really true? But that child is already. His body was icy cold and lifeless. He was only an infant, so how was it possible that he was still alive? He does indeed still have some life left in him, Xianxia said in a solemn voice. It's just that his life is currently ensnared by a tendril of devilish energy. This is also the reason why his entire body is icy cold. Devilish energy? What is going on here? Yun Qinghang asked in an astonished voice. The only person under the heavens that could release such devil energy is Xuanyuan Wenchen. 7th sister, you need to recall something for me. During the time when all of you fought off Xuanyuan Wenchen, were you ever directly harmed by his profound energy? Xianxia asked. She definitely wasn't, Xiao Yun said as he gasped for breath. I always stood in front of 7th sister. Even though Xuanyuan Wenchen's profound energy had breached the barrier a few times, it had not spread to where 7th sister and I was standing at. Hand the child over to me, Xianxia said as he extended an arm towards Xiao Yun. Big brother, Xiao Yun said between choked sobs as he handed over the ice-cold baby to Xianxia. Is it truly still possible to save him? Xianxia did not reply. Instead, he closed his eyes and slowly infused his profound energy into the body of the baby amidst the deathly silence. In an instant, he opened his eyes and said, This tendril of devilish energy has already merged with his life vein, so it indeed should not have been something that infiltrated the body only recently. This was something that happened at least 2 to 3 months ago. 2 or 3 months ago, Xiao Yun mumbled under his breath before he suddenly leaped up. Yes, it was 3 months ago, 7th sister, and I had been trapped by Xuanyuan Wenchen's dark energy. Could it be that? 3 months ago, they had been ensnared by Xuanyuan Wenchen's darkness prison at the snow region of extreme ice. In the end, they had only been saved because Fen Juchen's spirit had suddenly awakened. That is extremely likely, Xianxia said with a grave nod of his head. Even though 7th sister dispelled the devilish energy in her body on that day, an extremely small amount must have entered the body of her baby. This small amount would be extremely hard for the mother to detect, and even if she did manage to detect it, it would be extremely hard to get rid of it as well. The reason why Xianxia's profound veins had been crippled was because when he had been struck by the cold poison of Sun Moon Divine Hall while he was still in his mother's womb. So the situation of the baby in his arms was quite similar to his own all those years ago. It was just that he had been stricken by poison all those years ago, but this child had been stricken by devil energy. Even though it was a very faint and weak tendril of devilish energy, it was still 10 million times more dreadful than just poison. Chair, Yun Qinghang asked in a hopeful voice as he fought to keep cool, is there truly a way for this child to be saved? Xianxia's lips moved, but no sound came from his mouth. Big brother Yun, Number 7 under heaven struggled to kneel down on top of the bed as she cried out in a tearful voice. I beg you, please save my baby. You are the greatest genius doctor in the entire world, so you definitely have a way to. Little Chi, Xiao said, looking at him through her tear-filled eyes as she supported Xiao Lai. Young Patriarch Yun, as long as you can save this child, I will do anything for you. I won't blink or flinch even if you ask me to be your ox or horse. Greatest ambition under heaven said, with great emotion in his voice. Yun Chi shook his head. All of you needn't behave in this manner. This child is the son of Xiao Yun and seventh sister. He is the grandson of my parents and the great-grandson of my grandfather. So he is like half a son to me. As long as the faintest ray of hope still exists, I will definitely do all that I can to save him. After saying that, he hugged the child and grabbed Feng Xue'er's hand. Xue'er, come with me. If we are to save this child, I will definitely need to borrow your power. Yun Chi pulled Feng Xue'er into the courtyard as the rest of them anxiously followed behind. Once he stood in the middle of the courtyard, Yun Chi spoke in a solemn voice. This tendril of devilish energy has been in his body for a long time. If it was any other child, that child would have died a long time ago. But thankfully, seventh sister possesses a constitution that far surpasses that of a normal person. So even though it looks like he has passed on, there is still a trace of life left in his life vein. If I am able to dispel the devilish energy and resuscitate his life vein, then there is a possibility that we can save him. But this was only a possibility. Whether it was Xiao Yun, number 7 under heaven, or the rest of them, everyone here had a clear understanding of just how difficult it would be to dispel devil energy that had infiltrated one's body. Furthermore, because he was still a baby, he would definitely not be able to endure anything but the gentlest of profound energies. The moment that the profound energy used grew too strong, or the moment the slightest deviation occurred during this process, even the slightest error would be fatal to the already extremely frail baby. Even though Yun Qinghang and greatest ambition under heaven were both monarchs, they knew that they would definitely not be able to perform such a procedure. If it was just poison or another type of profound energy, I would be very confident. But devil energy is different, Yun Chi said as he sucked in a quick breath. Right now, it is hibernating within this child's body. But the moment it is touched by an external energy, it will thrash about like a startled venomous snake. Therefore, the risk that comes with trying to expel it is extremely high, so the only option we have left is to cleanse it away. Feng Xue'er immediately reacted to those words by using the phoenix flames. Right, Yun Chi said as he nodded his head. Xue'er, your phoenix flames are many times purer than my own. If we use your phoenix flames, it will increase the chances of our success. As he spoke, Yun Chi had already sat down on the ground. He placed the baby in his lap. Father, could I trouble you to help me erect a light and sound isolating barrier? All right, Yun Qinghang said as he stepped forward, his hand flashing with lightning. He was very clear that the procedure Yun Chi had just detailed would be something that required the utmost precision and carefulness. So Yun Chi definitely could not be distracted by anything during this procedure. I'll help as well, greatest ambition under heaven said as he hurriedly stepped forward. An isolation barrier that was more than 3 meters in width was quickly erected by the combined powers of the two monarchs. Big brother, I will leave everything to you, Xiao Yun said in a trembling voice, extending his hand as if he was grasping at the very last straws of hope. Ding, with a gentle ring, the isolation barrier had been completely erected. Everyone's hearts were firmly stuck in their throats, but at least the atmosphere was no longer as sorrowful or gloomy as it had been before, because now a faint ray of hope had appeared. Xiao Ying, my son, your spirit in heaven definitely needs to protect this child, Xiao Lai muttered as he raised his head to the heavens, tears coursing from his old eyes. The world inside the barrier was filled with a white, profound light. Feng Xue'er sat by Yun Chi's side as she spoke in an apprehensive but sincere voice. Big brother Yun, what should I do? Xue'er, I will need a drop of your blood, Yun Chi said softly. MN, Feng Xue'er did not hesitate to extend a finger. A drop of blood appeared on the tip of that finger before dropping onto the tip of Yun Chi's finger under Yun Chi's careful guidance. Phew! Yun Chi's chest rose and fell. His forehead was already matted in sweat before he had even begun the procedure. Because the outcome of this endeavor concerned the life and death of a newborn baby, furthermore, this also concerned the future happiness of Xiao Yun and his wife and grandfather's lifelong wish. He was not confident of his chances of success, but no matter what, he needed to be the one to shoulder this immense burden. Child, you have a kind and gentle father, a grandfather whose righteousness touches the sky, and you have a compassionate great-grandfather. You are the continuation of their lives, So, you need to be strong, and you definitely mustn't be beaten by a lousy tendril of devilish energy." As he muttered to himself, his finger swiftly descended as he pressed that droplet of Feng Xue'er's blood against the baby's chest. After a few moments, the droplet of blood had slowly sunk into his tiny body like quicksilver sinking into the ground. Under the guidance of Xianxia's profound energy, the droplet of blood slowly spread throughout the baby's entire body. The Sky Poison Pearl and the Phoenix Flames both possessed extremely strong purifying abilities, but there were differences between the two types of purification. The Sky Poison Pearl could cleanse poison, impurities, and foreign matter, but the Phoenix Flames cleansed negative energy. If one were to compare the strength of their purifying power, the Sky Poison Pearl was far stronger than Phoenix Flames that were not 100% pure. It was just that it was unable to cleanse away devilish energy. The Phoenix Flames were a divine power. The destructive power of these flames were so dreadful that even the tiniest cluster of flames would be something far beyond what a newborn baby would be able to endure. So, when Xianxia ignited that purifying flame in the places where the devilish energy lingered, he had to carefully use the energy generated by the Great Way of the Buddha to isolate it. Xianxia was extremely familiar with the composition of the human body, so he very clearly knew where the human body was weak, where it could be fatally wounded, in which parts the devilish energy would most likely hide, and which parts could not be touched by profound energy. Swiftly, he confirmed that all of the lingering devilish energy in the infant's body originated from one corner. So he started at that point and used the Phoenix Flames to purify the devilish energy bit by bit. A tendril of Phoenix blood came into contact with the devilish energy, as a faint and tiny Phoenix Flame instantly used that devilish energy as its medium and started burning weakly. This procedure was exceedingly slow and difficult, so it would definitely take a lot of time. Even if he did not make a single mistake, it was still possible for this extremely frail baby to die at any moment. Xianxia had thought of infusing the infant with the essence of nature in order to strengthen his life force, but he was deeply afraid that it would instantly cause the devil energy in his body to go berserk, which would cause instant death. So he could only hope that this child's remaining life force would be strong enough to endure this current procedure. This procedure used very little of Xianxia's profound energy, but it was an extremely mentally taxing task. He had not yet fully recovered from his previous injuries, and his heart and soul had been acutely wounded by Jasmine's revelation. But in front of this tiny life that only he could save, his heart and soul swiftly became a sea of tranquility. Feng Xue'er silently gazed at him. She had initially been fraught with nervousness and tension, but her gaze gradually grew entranced. At this moment, that expression of single-minded concentration was deeply engraved into her heart and memories forever. Outside the barrier, everyone's heart was on edge as they held their breath and waited in an extreme state of anxiety. Before long, the little demon empress had also arrived after receiving news of the current situation, and she waited along with them. 2 hours passed, 4 hours passed, 6 hours passed. The sky began to gradually grow darker, and even though the wait grew more tortuous with every passing breath, no one had left at any point of time. Number 7 under heaven had struggled out of bed, and she stared at the isolation barrier with unblinking eyes as Xiao Yun supported her. Ding! The soft ring that emanated from the barrier fiercely jarred everyone's nerves. Bang! A crack spread across the surface of the barrier. Following that, the entire barrier completely shattered from within and dissolved into scattered fragments of profound light, however. Before the fragments of profound light had completely disappeared, the high-pitched wail of an infant rang in their ears. Xianxia strode out from within the profound light. There was a faint smile on his face as he hugged the loudly bawling infant in his arms. The cries of the child rang out bright and clear as day. They were completely devoid of any weakness. Furthermore, one could see 4 tiny and seemingly mischievous limbs moving in a lively manner within Xianxia's embrace. All of the people present were stunned in place. It was as if they had heard a voice that had come from the very heavens themselves. Xiao Yun's mouth gaped open as he extended both of his trembling arms. But his feet felt like they had been nailed to the floor, and his vision had gone completely blurry. It was as if he had been abruptly thrust into an illusory dreamscape. "Xiao Yun, 7th sister," Xianxia said as a gentle and happy smile appeared on his exhausted face. "I got lucky." Number 7 under heaven was roused from her stupor. She swiftly moved forward, her trembling hands carefully picking up the child in Xianxia's arms. She looked at her child. who was bawling loudly as his limbs flailed about, and before she could even speak, her tears had already started to pour down like a dam that had been burst. She tightly hugged her son, who had been snatched back from the very jaws of death, and she could not think about anything else as she started sobbing loudly. Seventh sister. Xiao Yun stood by number 7 under Heaven's side. As he looked at his wife and child, his entire being was suddenly suffused by something that was warm and fuzzy, leaving him with a contentment that he was unable to describe. He turned around and looked at Yun-Chi, his voice trembling. "Big brother, if you want to thank me, there is no need," Yun-Chi said with a smile. "We're brothers after all. Your son is my son, so you could say that I saved my own son. It was a natural thing to do." "Amen." Xiao Yun bit his lips as he strove not to cry. After that, he nodded his head with extreme vigor as he said, "Amen." "Ha ha 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 ha." Greatest ambition under heaven turned around and let out a booming laugh. The gloom that had been in his heart and the heavy pressure and burden that had been caused by Xianxia had completely melted away in this moment, as his heart was filled with boundless contentment and joy. Mu Yuru was so elated that she shed tears of joy. Yun Qinghong wore a faint smile, tears gleaming in his eyes as he looked at his 2 sons who stood side by side. Once again, he was struck by a profound feeling that the heavens had truly not been unkind to him. Kang Yue's beautiful eyes were fixated on Yun-Chi, and her lips slowly curved into an extremely lovely smile. She sensed that the smile currently on Yun-Chi's face was not the same forced smile that it had been previously. She could tell that most of the gloom and darkness that clouded Yun-Chi's heart had been lifted. It could be said that he had redeemed his soul the same time he had saved this child's life. Xiao Yun and number 7 under heaven presented to their child to Xiao Lai. "Grandfather, how about you decide on a name for this child?" Xiao Lai extended his hands and touched the infant's tiny hands, but he did not take him. He was afraid of accidentally startling this little life which had just escaped a nightmarish fate. He held back his tears while he spoke in an unhurried manner. "All those years ago, I named your father Xiao Ying in hope that he would soar in the blue dome of the heavens like a majestic eagle, radiating power and majesty. But I never thought that he would be separated from us forever at such a young age. After going through many ups and downs and experiencing the many vicissitudes of life, my vision is finally clear, and I have gained great insight on many things. This child, my hope is not that he achieves great success and fame in life. My hope is that he simply lives a peaceful life that is free of calamity or strife. So I will name him Yongan." "Yongan," Xiao Yun murmured softly before nodding his head with great vigor. "Good, let his name be Yongan then." "My child, did you hear that? Your name is Yongan," number 7 under heaven whispered as she hugged her baby tightly. Even though she had stopped weeping, tears still streamed uncontrollably from her eyes. "Xiao Yongan, that is a good name," Yun Qinghong said with a faint smile on his face. "There is a saying that good fortune will surely follow a person who manages to survive a calamity. Yongan met with a great crisis the moment he was born, but he tenaciously soldiered on, so he will definitely be graced by fortune beyond measure from today onwards." "That's right. He is indeed hardy and tenacious," Yun-Chi said as he nodded his head cheerfully. "The quantity of devil energy that had invaded his body was more than I expected. During the entire time that I spent cleansing the devilish energy away, my greatest fear was that he would be unable to endure until the devil energy had been completely cleansed. But he was extremely outstanding. The procedure took 6 hours for me to complete. That was more than twice the length than I had initially anticipated. But he managed to endure the entire thing with incredible tenacity." These wholehearted words of praise had come from Yun-Chi himself. Xiao Yun was so emotional that hot tears scalded his eyes. A profound sense of pride appeared on number 7 under heaven's tear-stained face. She hugged her child tightly, unwilling to relax her grip for even a single breath. "Ha ha ha ha." Greatest ambition under heaven's booming laugh filled the air. "At first I had been scared completely witless by Xianxia, and just thinking of him would fill me with dread. But even a newborn babe was able to defeat his power, so this old man has no reason to fear him either. The next time he dares to come, even if this old man has to sacrifice his own life, I will not let him return from whence he came." "Ha ha ha, that was well said, brother under heaven," Yun Qinghong said as he joined in his laughter. "Yongan has set an outstanding example for us all. What is there to fear from that Xianxia? Brother under heaven, you should stay behind today. Both our families should drink their fill today. As for the preparations for battle, we'll discuss those things tomorrow." "All right." greatest ambition under heaven replied in a merry voice. Xiao Yanggan's miraculous revival after he had been struck by calamity had swept clean the heavy oppressiveness that had shrouded the Yun family. This oppressiveness had now been changed into a vibrant joy which filled the air as it veritably bubbled over. Even the heavy shadow left behind by Xuanyuan Wenchen had practically vanished into thin air. As the leader of the 12 guardian families, the change in atmosphere that occurred in the Yun family subtly helped to dispel much of the haze that had enshrouded Demon Imperial City. However, after the initial enthusiasm had worn off and they had all calmed down, they would still have to face the enormous fear wrought by Xuanyuan Wenchen and the complete annihilation that threatened to rain down on them at any moment. After more than 10 days had passed, Yun Qi had completely recovered from his wounds, and the little demon empress and Feng Xue'er had largely recovered from their own as well. The work they had to do for Demon Imperial City in the wake of Xuanyuan Wenchen's attack was basically done. Under the guidance of the 12 guardian families, Demon Imperial City was prepared to deploy against the disaster that could strike at any time. The terrifying shadow left behind by Xuanyuan Wenchen on that day kept them all on their toes, and the entire city was in a state of high alert and constant vigilance. Powerful individuals from the other parts of the illusory demon realm had either responded to the summons or had come to Demon Imperial City of their own accord, as all of them prepared to defend against Xuanyuan Wenchen together. After all, if Demon Imperial City were to be destroyed, the entire illusory demon realm would implode on itself and fracture apart. The funerals of Yun He, Yun Jiang, and Yun Zai, the 3 grand elders of the Yun family who had sacrificed their lives during the battle against Xuanyuan Wenchen, had been concluded. As a result, the Yun family disciples' daily training had increased in both intensity and length. After the joy that had been brought about by the birth of Xiao Yanggan had receded, the Yun family and the entire Demon Imperial City had been engulfed by a nervous and tense atmosphere which grew heavier with each passing day. This was because Demon Imperial City was currently facing the greatest and most dreadful crisis in its history. Even the chaos caused by Duke Huai paled in comparison to this imminent threat. If they were not able to resist the coming darkness, then there would no longer be a Demon Imperial City in this world. And that sentiment was not the least bit exaggerated. Yun Qinghong left the house every day as he met with the other patriarchs and dukes to discuss the various strategies and tactics they could use against Xuanyuan Wenchen. Yun Qi did not even need to ask him about the result of those meetings. Just one look at the expression on Yun Qinghong's face told him that they had been unable to find a strategy that would be truly effective in countering Xuanyuan Wenchen. After all, Xuanyuan Wenchen's power was simply far too dreadful, and in front of this excessively overbearing strength, all strategies, profound tools, and numbers were rendered completely futile and meaningless. Furthermore, as the person who had directly clashed against Xuanyuan Wenchen, he had an even clearer understanding of just how terrifying and dreadful Xuanyuan Wenchen actually was. Yun Qi sat on top of the highest roof in the entire Yun family household. His eyes were calm and tranquil as he silently gazed off into the distance. He had maintained this posture for most of the late morning. At this moment, rainbow robes fluttered at his side as the little demon empress quietly arrived at his side. Her face was an icy mask as she spoke. "When do you intend to return to Demon Imperial Palace?" Yun Qi turned his face to the side, a cheeky smile appearing on his face as he spoke. "Ah, Kei, could it be that if I'm out of your sight for more than 2 hours, you'll miss me so much that you will lose all your appetite and become unable to sleep well?" "HMPH." The little demon empress gave a cold snort. "Don't forget, right now you're a member of my Demon Imperial family. Since you are back, it's only natural that you reside in Demon Imperial Palace." "I know," Yun Qi said with a helpless expression on his face, "but my mother is unwilling to see me go." "You're just afraid that Xue'er or that empress wife of yours will get jealous, right?" After saying those words, the little demon empress subconsciously averted her gaze, refusing to meet his eyes with hers. Yun Qi said as he grabbed the little demon empress' hand and gently pulled her over, sending her soft, delicate, and exquisite body spinning into his embrace. "I don't know if Xue'er and Xue'er are the type to get jealous, but my wife Kei is definitely jealous right now." "You!" Panic flashed through the little demon empress's eyes before she stubbornly turned her face aside. Yet she did not expend too much energy trying to struggle free from Yun Qi's embrace. "Okay, I understand. From tomorrow onwards, I will be at the Yun family residence during the day, but at night. I will return to Demon Imperial Palace to accompany my dear wife Kei. Xianxi's soft and gentle words caused the little demon empress' delicate body to melt into his embrace as she spoke in tiny voice. You don't need to force yourself. The little demon empress' voice suddenly trembled because she realized that Xianxi's palm had abruptly moved to her chest as he gave it a light squeeze. The little demon empress unconsciously struggled against him, but she immediately melted back into his chest, allowing him to run amok. It was just that her breathing had become hurried as a coquettish red blush stained her cheeks. With a deft move of his arm, Xianxi's palm skillfully plunged into the depths of the little demon empress' rainbow robes. He unrestrainedly enjoyed feeling the shape and softness of the snowy bosom which filled his palm. He let out a contented sigh in his heart. Frozen Cloud Asgard's heavenly jade dew was indeed super effective. To think that it would actually fill his entire palm now. The little demon empress' gentle meekness only encouraged Xianxi to push his luck even further. He nimbly and gracefully undid the belt of her rainbow robes from behind, and with a slight tug of his fingers, he pulled down her robe, leaving her bare to the waist, immediately exposing her delicate, lustrous, and white bosom and snowy shoulders to the air completely. If this was Demon Imperial Palace, she would allow Xianxi's desires to run rampant, but they were in the Yun family household. As a slight chill ran through the snowy flesh of her jade body, she immediately pushed Xianxi aside as if she had been struck by lightning. She hurriedly adjusted her clothing, and at this moment, the majesty she normally radiated as the little demon empress had vanished into thin air. It seems like you've already sat there for a good long while. What are you thinking about? The little demon empress said as she bit down on her lower lip. She was scared that her actions had harmed Xianxi's self-esteem. I was thinking of the problem that everyone has been dwelling on, thinking about exactly what we should if Xuanyuan comes again. Xianxi spat out a shallow breath as he spoke in a rather melancholic voice. During these past 3 months, my profound strength has soared dramatically thanks to Xue'er. The degree to which my strength has increased was far greater than any previous time. I felt as if my entire body has been remolded and reborn, reaching a level that I have never even dreamed about. In fact, I even have the feeling that I have reached the stage where no one could match me. However, even though my strength has clearly grown by leaps and bounds, we still could not beat Xuanyuan even when I joined hands with you and Xue'er. Xianxi's words caused the little demon empress' faintly blushing face to grow solemn and grave. She abruptly said, Xianxi, you must promise me one thing. Xianxi gave a bland laugh. Are you thinking of saying something along these lines? If Xuanyuan returns to the illusory demon realm, you want me to use the primordial profound arc to take everyone and run away, leaving you behind to face him alone. That's right, the little demon empress said with a heavy nod of her head. On that day, Xuanyuan had already exhausted a large amount of his power so that he could forcefully break apart the great city barrier formation. But even in that situation, we were still not his match even when the three of us combined our strength. Even though he looked very heavily wounded, we had yet to touch his foundation. Furthermore, he had clearly said this before he had left. In another 3 months, his devil blood will completely awaken. At that time, his power will reach the so-called perfect state. At that time, it did not seem like he was making idle threats either. If all of this is really true, then the Xuanyuan who will appear before us once more will be even more dreadful than the Xuanyuan we previously faced. Over the past few days, I have also been trying to think of a method to deal with Xuanyuan, but I could not come up with anything. If we were to stay behind and attempt to forcefully resist him, we would merely be vainly throwing our lives away. There is no shame in running away. In fact, that is the wisest and most sensible decision. Xuanyuan power is far too abnormal. There will definitely be a bottleneck to that power and tremendous negative side effects to it. So if you and Xue'er manage to escape for now, there will definitely be a day when the both of you can defeat him. Since that is the most sensible choice, then you definitely have to come along as well, Xianxi said with furrowed brows. I can't leave, the little demon empress said as she gave a resolute shake of her head. Don't forget who I am. I am the empress of the illusory demon realm, the inheritor of the 10,000-year will of the demon emperor's bloodline. If I run away, not only will I be abandoning Demon Imperial City and the illusory demon realm, I will also be besmirching the dignity of the demon emperor's bloodline, betraying the glory and the 10,000-year will left behind my ancestors. Everyone should abandon this place as early as possible instead of pointlessly waiting for death. But for me, there will be no escape. What awaits is a glorious death in battle. Fine, Xianxia said with a faint smile as he nodded his head. Since that's the case, then I definitely need to stay behind with you. Foolish, the little demon empress rebuked him with a cold look. If you die, then who will protect and take care of your family members and women? Who will defeat Xue'er and rescue the illusory demon realm from disaster? The little demon empress softened her tone before continuing in a soft voice. Don't forget, I am already someone who is destined for death. Even if there was no Xue'er, I have less than 2 years left to live. She turned around before continuing to speak in that soft voice. Xianxia, the fact that I was able to become your wife near the end of my life already leaves me with boundless satisfaction and contentment. Instead of quietly waiting for death to take me, I would rather carry on the will of all the demon emperors who have come before me and die a glorious death in battle. To me, that would be an even better conclusion to my ending. As long as you are willing to promise me this one thing, before the day comes, I will be willing to do whatever it is you wish me to do. After she finished speaking, the little demon empress took to the air and flew far away. After her figure had completely vanished from Xianxia's vision, a soft voice mumbled in his ear. When you return to Demon Imperial Palace, I allow you to bring your Empress wife and Xue'er along with you. Xianxia, author's note. Faints, I just realized that I left out a chapter yesterday by mistake. The Azure Cloud chapter is about to begin. Xianxia is about to undergo an extreme evolution. But it's just that the way he'll evolve is a bit. Xianxia collapsed on top of the roof as he stared at the sky and softly muttered, I've already lost my little fairy, how can I be expected to simply watch if I'm to lose you as well? But just what can I do? Anna, we are going to visit your great-grandfather. Be good, okay? Number 7 under Heaven's voice, which was as gentle as the wind, rang out from somewhere not far below him. She was hugging a baby that was swaddled in cloth, and there was a gentle smile on her face. Her steps were light and relaxed as she teased her son every now and then, the ever-present Xiaoyun walking beside her. The arrival of Yang'an caused the relationship between the already tightly bonded couple to become even more happy and warm. Even the shadow cast by the impending calamity which would destroy the entire city did nothing to dampen their happiness. Brother Yun, who do you think Anna will resemble more when he grows up? Of course he'll look more like you. If he looks more like you, he'll definitely be even more handsome. Hee. Anna, did you hear that? You need to look at your mother more every single day. If you do that, you'll grow to become a handsome man in the future. Also, when you grow up, you need to be dutifully filial towards your great-grandfather and your Uncle Xianxia. If not for Uncle Xianxia, your mother and father would not ever be able to see you again. Speaking of Big Brother, I haven't seen him around these past few days. I also don't know where he is right now, Xiaoyun said as he gave a light sigh. I just have this feeling that he hasn't been his usual self lately. Xianxia, I also felt the same way, Number 7 under Heaven said in a dim voice. In the past, whenever I saw Big Brother Yun, I always felt that he radiated a very powerful aura, an aura which gave people an incredible sense of security. But ever since he returned from Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley, every time I see him, I always feel that he is being weighed down by many heavy worries. I can roughly guess the reason behind that, Xiaoyun said worriedly. Big Brother Yun used all of his strength to save our son, but his own child. Should be 5 years right now, but he has never even seen his child before, and he doesn't even know whether that child is dead or alive. This has always been the thing that caused his heart to ache the most. So in this current situation where he has saved our child, but is unable to find his own, even if it's Big Brother, he is definitely being tormented by pain and self-recrimination that he is unable to let go of. I'm awkward, not good with words, and I also don't know how to comfort and encourage him. I can only hope that Big Brother can walk out from under this dark cloud that is hanging over his head sooner rather later. If it's Big Brother Yun we're talking about, then it definitely won't be a problem, Number 7 under Heaven said in a voice that was brimming with confidence. As he silently watched the couple walk into the distance, Xianxia silently sighed under his breath. So it turns out that I have already caused many people to worry about me. It looks like I really need to properly adjust my emotions and mental state. He also did not know how Yuanba was doing right now. Xue'er only viewed a few people as potential threats, and Xia Yuanba was one of them. Given Xue'er's clearly distorted temperament, the Xia Yuanba who was still in the profound sky continent would definitely be struck by his devilish claws. Right now, Xianxia could only hope that he could somehow escape that calamity. Yun-Chi closed his eyes as his consciousness sank into the world of the sky-poisoned pearl. The dark green world was a sea of calm, so the sounds that Xianxia made in her sleep were exceptionally clear. "Xianxia, it's time to wake up," Yun-Chi said as he arrived at the foot of the bed and smacked Xianxia's small bottom. This jade bed was originally where Jasmine rested, but ever since Xianxia arrived, it had been completely taken over by her. After all, she basically did nothing else but sleep and eat. Even when she was summoned out, she was normally sound asleep inside the sword, and even if he battled for an entire hour, there was no guarantee that she would actually wake up. Ooh, Xianxia had been woken up by that gentle smack on her butt. She opened her eyes and said in a sleepy and silly voice, "Master, I was just having a very tasty dream. Where did you suddenly wake me up?" Very tasty dream. "Xianxia, did your big sister Jasmine leave you anything to pass to me? She would have passed it to you just as she was just about to leave," Yun-Chi asked as he carried her small body. Xianxia blinked her sleep-crusted eyes as her small hand tugged at her vermilion hair. But all of a sudden, she said with an aggrieved pout on her face, "I don't know. I'm very hungry right now, so I can't think of anything." At number percent, Yun-Chi extended a hand and grabbed two sparkling and translucent long swords which released the aura of the Emperor Profound Realm. "There you go, eat up." "Wow. Thanks, Master." Xianxia's sleepiness had faded away completely as her eyes started to sparkle. She grabbed both Emperor Profound swords and opened her mouth wide. Following an explosive cracking sound, a bite-shaped gap appeared on the sword which was even tougher and more durable than Profound steel. Even though he had long ago gotten accustomed to the terror that was Xianxia's teeth every time he saw her in action, it still sent chills down his spine. As Xianxia ravenously wolfed down her meal, those two Emperor Profound swords had been devoured completely in the blink of an eye. Not even a fragment remained. She patted her tiny, unchanged tummy in contentment before she suddenly squealed excitedly. "I remember now. Big Sister Jasmine wanted me to give Master this." Xianxia raised her tiny hand, and a dot of glittering white light shone in it. Yun-Chi's lips faintly moved before he extended a hand and gently took hold of that white light. Immediately, Jasmine's voice rang out from that bright light as it resounded in the depths of his heart. "Yun-Chi, on the day that I reconstituted my body, I borrowed 3 drops of blood essence from you. As a recompense, I promised that I would give you 1 drop of star god blood in return. Right now, I am fulfilling that promise and giving that drop of star god blood to you. The power of the star gods can only be refined by using an extremely special method. Given your current ability, you won't be able to refine any divine power from it, but it will grant you many times the lifespan that you lost when you gave away those 3 drops of blood essence. If I am no longer able to remain at your side, then this drop of star god blood will be my final gift to you." Yun-Chi dazedly stared at the white light in his hand, star god blood. That was the blood essence that came from Jasmine while his consciousness was still hazy. The star god blood that was encircled by white light suddenly flew up from the palm of his hand and directly shot towards the space between his eyebrows. After that, it forcefully entered his head and melted into his body. Yun-Chi's consciousness instantly left the world of the sky-poisoned pearl. During the same instant, a bizarre sensation that felt both warm and cold at the same time swiftly spread from the space between his brows to the rest of his body. He hurriedly sat up straight, focusing his mind as he began to absorb the star god blood. After the brief period of discomfort had passed, the star god blood had gradually completely merged with his body. His 5 senses had begun to grow sharper as his entire body swelled with surging vitality. He could faintly sense that his body had grown stronger in a way, but apart from this, his profound strength had barely changed. Just as Jasmine's voice had said, it had greatly increased Yun-Chi's lifespan, but it barely had any effect on his profound strength. After the star god blood had completely merged with his body, Yun-Chi opened his eyes. A profound warmth was now swelling within both his heart and his body. He raised his head, looking into the distance as he softly muttered to himself, "Jasmine, did you truly leave behind this drop of star god blood just for the sake of paying me back?" As he spoke, the corners of his mouth faintly curled up into a small smile. Azure Cloud Continent, Supwake Country's River East region, below Grandwake Mountain. A large bamboo forest extended from the foot of Grandwake Mountain to the distant northern gate of the Grandwake clan. The bamboo forest was lush and dense, and if someone viewed it from a distance, a dense emerald green expanse would fill his vision. Normally, an extremely refreshing cool breeze would gently blow among the swaying bamboo leaves in this place, relaxing and gladdening the hearts of the people who came here. It was as if even their spirits were being gently cleansed. But today, the breeze that blew in this bamboo forest carried the acrid odor of fresh blood snap. Following a vicious flash of a knife's edge, blood spurted onto the arrow and a tall and mighty figure heavily tumbled to the ground. A mountain of corpses lay littered around the area where he fell. "Old Seven!" Xianxia rushed forward and grabbed the man's body, blood tears filling his widened eyes. The last among those that had stayed loyal to him had fallen. The ground underneath his feet and the surrounding bamboo leaves had all been dyed red with fresh blood as bodies filled his vision. Furthermore, these corpses belonged to the people who had used their lives to protect him, the people who had upheld the final dignity of the Grandwake clan. Right now, other than himself, all of them had fallen. "Clan Master, hurry up and leave," the tall man mumbled in agony before he closed his eyes and completely expired, the last bit of life leaving his body. "Old Seven!" Xianxia gave howl that tore at one's heart, his entire body shaking fiercely due to pain and resentment. "Hehe, my beloved father, you have truly disappointed me." A formidable array of people had completely surrounded Xianxia. Some of them wore the attire of the Grandwake clan, while others were all dressed in black. It was astonishingly the attire of Blackwood's stronghold. Moreover, the one who stood at the very forefront of this contingent was Xianxia's only son, Heaven. "You were the one who promised us that as long as we allowed Linger to run far away, you would behave yourself and hand over the treasure key to us quietly. But in the end, you reneged on your word and obstinately struggled against us, heedless of the consequences, causing so many people to die in vain. Tusk. In any case, you are a senior from the same clan, so this is truly intolerable." As the one who controlled the current proceedings, Heaven wore a bland and arrogant smile on his face. Yet there was also a trace of unwillingness on his face. Third Elder Su Hengyu and Grand Elder Su Wangji were both present along with the Blackwood stronghold's Heaven. They all wore cold smiles on their faces, yet they were standing behind Heaven. Arrayed behind them were people from Blackwood Cliff, and a whole 80% of the disciples from the Grandwake clan. Only a pitiful 20% of the Grandwake clan's disciples had chosen to follow Xianxia, and right now, all of them lay dead on the ground. You beast!" Xianxia shouted as he turned around and pointed a trembling finger at Heaven. His bloodshot eyes were filled with boundless grief and sorrow. "All these years, I have remained constantly vigilant against Su Hengyu and Blackwood's stronghold, but I never would have thought it would be a beast like you. Cough. Xianxia's body swayed as he coughed out a large mouthful of fresh blood. "Heh, Su Hengyu said with a cold laugh. "Heaven is someone who is far stronger than a stubborn and conservative piece of trash such as yourself. After hopping on board the giant ship that is the 7-star Divine Palace, our Grandwake clan will instantly become ascendant, rising into the sky like a blazing sun, and no one in the country of Supwake will dare to bully us. Furthermore, if Heaven is accepted as a disciple of the 7-star Divine Palace, Tusk, it won't merely be so simple as bringing glory to our ancestors." Heh. Heaven shot Xianxia a look that was filled with mingled joy and pity. After that, he bowed his head to Heaven before speaking. "Young sect master, when you enter the 7-star Divine Palace in the future, I hope that you will generously support us." Ha. Heaven gave a loud and arrogant laugh. He was thoroughly pleased with himself. That's natural. If not for the Blackwood Hold Master, how would this young master even have the chance to obtain the favor of the 7-star Divine Palace? "Xianxia," Heaven said, directly addressing Xianxia by his name. "All of the stubborn and ignorant people have already died, so to save yourself from even more pain, it would be better for you to cooperate with us as soon as possible and obediently hand over the treasure key. After all, the act of torturing my own father is something that will cause me to die young. You evil creature, you bunch of animals. Even if I die, all of you can forget about ever obtaining the treasure key." Xianxia fiercely spat. He tightly gripped the blood-drenched sword in his hand as a startling, malevolent aura radiated from every pore of his body. "There will come a day where all of you will suffer retribution." "Retribution," Heaven said as his eyes narrowed. After that, he began to laugh wildly. Ha. Could it be that this retribution that you are referring to is that man Yunqi? Tusk. Ah, it is truly woeful that you have yet to wake up to reality despite 6 years of dreaming. Now that I mention it, I had even specifically asked the people of 7-star Divine Palace about Xianxia and Xianxia, but in the end, no one at that level even knew those two names. That is also to say that even the names that they gave you all those years ago were fake, but to think you're actually still dreaming that he will truly come back and marry Linger. Ah, it has truly been hard on my pitiful sister who has been stupidly waiting for 6 years now. The Divine Palace envoy has arrived. At this moment, a low and deep shout rang out from behind. Those short 6 words caused the expressions of every single person present to dramatically change. At the same time, a figure appeared like a ghost at Xu Heoran's side. His face was cold and stern and dressed in black clothes. A mark that looked like 7 stars intertwining was embroidered on his breast. Upon seeing this person, everyone felt as if a true god had descended from the heavens as they panikedly knelt down and said, "We greet the Divine Palace Envoy." Chen. A noise limply came from the Divine Palace Envoy's nose, and that counted as his acknowledgement. Divine Palace Envoy, Heoran was not aware that you would abruptly honor us with your presence. Excuse me for not going out to meet you. I beg for your forgiveness. Facing this black-clothed man, Xu Heoran's previous brash insolence had completely disappeared. What replaced it was an expression filled with fear and unease. HMPH, the Divine Palace Envoy gave a cold snort as his gaze swept across Xianxia. He is that Xianxia? Yes. As expected, the Divine Palace Envoy truly has keen-sighted eyes, Xu Heoran said, as he swiftly attempted to curry favor with the Divine Palace Envoy. Heh! You are even able to sow vicious towards your real father. You are truly someone who can achieve great things in life. The Divine Palace Envoy gave a lukewarm chuckle, and no one was able to tell whether it was mockery or praise. I thank the Divine Palace Envoy for his praise. To be able to serve the Divine Palace is the greatest fortune that Heoran will ever encounter in his life, Xu Heoran said in a careful tone. Behind him, Su Hengyu, Mu Qingya, and the rest of them had all deeply bowed their heads. They did not even dare to breathe too loudly. "And the item?" the Divine Palace Envoy asked coldly. Xu Heoran started to panic on the inside as he spoke while his forehead was matted in cold sweat. "We have searched the entire Grandwake clan, but we were not able to find it. The only person who would know the whereabouts of the treasure key is him." HMPH, the Divine Palace Envoy's eyes went cold. "You have already captured the person in front of you. Yet you were unable to force him to surrender that object despite your numbers. All of you are truly a bunch of trash." Xu Heoran fiercely gulped before he hurriedly spoke. He had originally promised to give us the treasure key as long as we allowed his daughter to escape, but we never expected him to suddenly go back on his word. However, I want to assure the Divine Palace Envoy of one thing. Now that he has fallen into our hands, forcing the treasure key out of him will only be a matter of time. "His daughter," the Divine Palace Envoy said with narrowed eyes. "Since he cares so much about his daughter, then go and capture his daughter and see whether he will still continue to be so stubborn at that time." Xu Heoran's eyes gleamed and immediately echoed what he had heard. The Divine Palace Envoy is truly wise. Heoran will immediately dispatch people to capture Su Linger. When the heavily wounded Xianxia heard those words, he immediately howled in fury like a despairing and enraged wolf. "You bunch of wretched animals! If you dare to harm Linger, I won't let you off even after I die." "Wait a minute," the Divine Palace Envoy said as his head suddenly jerked upwards. His gaze abruptly turned cold and dangerous as he said, "That treasure key, it is extremely likely that it is in his daughter's possession." "Ah!" The Divine Palace Envoy's words caused everyone to be startled. Xianxia's expression also fiercely changed upon hearing that, and that change in expression had been clearly seen by the Divine Palace Envoy. His face turned dark as he growled in a deep and low voice. "Did you really let that Linger escape? Wasn't anyone sent to secretly keep an eye on her?" This, Xu Heoran was completely flustered as he struggled to stammer out an explanation. "Su Linger is only a witless young girl. I truly did not think that Xianxia would entrust such an important thing. I will immediately dispatch people to." HMPH, there is no need for that. All of you are truly a bunch of worthless trash. The Divine Palace Envoy spat as he turned around and spoke to the empty bamboo forest. "Mobilize all of our people and coerce all of the sects in the country of Supwake, along with the Supwake imperial family, to seal the entire country of Supwake. I want Su Linger to brought before me, even if you have to dig up the ground to accomplish that task. If she is alive, I want to meet her. If she is dead, I want to see her corpse. Yes." A low and deep reply rang out from the depths of the empty bamboo forest. Author's note: the star god blood is pretty useless right now, but it will be very useful later on. It will be useful indeed, ho ho ho. 1 whole month had passed since Xuanyuan Wenchen had invaded Demon Imperial City, but the gloomy and tense atmosphere which shrouded Demon Imperial City had yet to fade away. During this period, many experts from all parts of the illusory demon realm had surged into the capital. At the same time, most of the citizens and sects had quietly fled the city, but the little demon empress gave an order to not interfere with or obstruct anyone who chose to run away. During the wee hours of the morning, Xianxia was returning to the Yun family household from the Demon Imperial Palace. Just as he reached the gates of his house, he met Yun Qinghang, who was just about to return home as well. "Father, were you preparing the Great City Barrier formation together with grandfather and the rest?" Both father and son had stopped in the air above the family gates. Yun Qinghang nodded his head. "The Great City Barrier formation left behind by the first Demon Emperor is incredibly profound. When we hurriedly activated it the last time, it was even able to hold back Xuanyuan Wenchen for a large amount of time. So before Xuanyuan Wenchen returns, we are putting in all our effort to ensure that the Great City Barrier formation will be able to perform to its fullest. As for the rest, that is up to the will of heaven." "Father, forgive me for being direct, but if it's merely a protection barrier which won't allow Xuanyuan Wenchen to enter Demon Imperial City, even if it can hold him off for more than a year, what's the point of it all?" Xianxia said as he shook his head. "It will only result in us delaying our deaths for a while more. Furthermore, Xuanyuan Wenchen can very well just ignore Demon Imperial City for the moment while he goes to ravage other parts of the illusory demon realm." "Ah, how could I not be aware of this?" Yun Qinghang said with a long sigh. "But it's not just the little demon empress who isn't his opponent. Even the Golden Crow divine god won't be able to match him. So other than this, what else can we do? Struggling until our last breath is still a better option than helplessly waiting for death to come. Father, if we have the option to flee the illusory demon realm and guarantee that Xuanyuan Wenchen won't be able to find us, would you and Mother be amenable to that?" Xianxia asked solemnly. Yun Qinghang gave him a deep look before speaking. "Would the little demon empress be willing to flee the illusory demon realm together with you?" Xianxia was at a loss for words. Given my understanding of the little demon empress, she definitely would not do so, and I share the same sentiments as well. While he said this, a faint smile appeared on Yun Qinghang's face, and it was not the least bit forced or discontent. In this world, there are many things that are far more important than one's own life. That goes for me and the little demon empress as well. If you forcefully take her away, this would be far worse than death for her. Your mother and I feel the same way. We have all personally witnessed the terror of Xuanyuan Wenchen, and now we are still working hard to resist him and think of a plan to deal with him. But we have never once thought of fleeing. But Chair, it's not the same for you, Yun Qinghang said as his eyes grew stern. You have to go. We are not choosing to stay because we are stupid or stubborn, but it is because we have something that we need to protect. But in your case, if you choose not to leave, it will not only be an irrational decision, it will also be a very stupid one. I believe that the little demon empress has already spoken to you about this, and you should be very clear about it as well. Xianxia remained silent for a very long time. Tomorrow, we will be holding a feast to celebrate Yanggen's first month, Yun Qinghang said with a faint smile. As his grandfather, it's only natural that I arrange everything personally. So for the next 2 days, let's set aside these important matters for now. Chair, come over and help us out later. All right, Xianxia said rather despondently/absent-mindedly. Yun Qinghang left, but Xianxia stayed standing in that spot for a very long time. Gradually, his eyes started to grow colder and colder, and he quietly clenched both his hands. It looks like I need to kill Xuanyuan Wenchen, no matter what. Need. Xianxia sucked in a long breath as a blurry decision formed in his heart. He looked at the Yun family household, and just as he was about to land in the courtyard, he suddenly felt his entire body shake fiercely as a dark and sinister aura suddenly exploded within his profound veins. This caused an indescribable pain to instantly spread throughout his entire body. Could it be? Xianxia strode out from the courtyard. Once she saw Xianxia, who was hovering in the air above her, her beautiful eyes twinkled as she crowed in delight. Little Qi, you're back. What about Sister Kang Yue and Xue'er? How come they didn't come back with you? Xianxia said as she scampered towards Xianxia. As she spoke, Her nose turned up slightly as an adorable pout formed on her lips, displaying the jealousy in her heart. But after she had finished speaking, she realized that Xianxia had not responded to her at all. Xianxia let out a soft cry, but just as she was about to ask a question, she saw Xianxia suddenly tumble from the sky and hit the ground fiercely. He remained curled up on the ground, his entire body shivering as his face contorted in incredible agony. Little Chi. Color drained from Xianxia's pretty face as she threw aside the thing she was holding in her hand and panikedly ran over to Xianxia. Little Chi, what happened to you? As the voice of Xianxia grew ever closer, Xianxia's remaining clarity allowed him to stretch out a quivering hand. After that, a soft and gentle profound energy pushed Xianxia far away as he croaked out in pain. Do not! Come over here! Ah! Black energy that he was unable to suppress streamed out of Xianxia's body before slowly rising into the air, causing Xianxia to experience even more pain. Little Chi, little Chi! Xianxia had been scared completely witless, and she shouted in a teary voice, Somebody come quick, somebody come quick, come and save little Chi. The entire Yun family was instantly alerted to this commotion as the nearby Xiao rushed over like a blustering gale. After he took one look at Xianxia's state, his expression immediately and violently changed. Big brother, what's happening to you? Don't touch him. Just as Xiao was about to approach Xianxia, Yun Qinghang's stern shout rang out from behind him, causing Xiao to immediately freeze in place. Yun Qinghang and Mu Yuru had rushed over, and many of the Yun family elders, and most of the Yun family disciples hurried along behind them after they had heard the news. They took one look at Xianxia's condition and the black energy that was gushing out of his body, all of them being shocked in place. With a single glance, Yun Qinghang could tell that Xianxia's current condition was exactly the same as 1 month ago, after Xianxia had returned from Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. He had not yet explained to him the reason behind this, and Yun Qinghang had not pursued the matter either. He even believed that Xianxia had completely recovered from it. But he had never thought that Xianxia would suddenly find himself in the exact same situation again. Chair, what's wrong with Chair? Mu Yuru's face had gone completely pale. If not for the fact that Yun Qinghang was holding her arm tightly, she would already have thrown caution to the wind and rushed to his side. No one is allowed to touch him. Yuner, immediately go and inform the little demon empress of the present situation. Yun Qinghang's expression was rigid as he forced himself to speak calmly. Just as his voice had finished, an energy explosion that sounded like thunder suddenly rang out in the air above them. The little demon empress and Feng Xue'er had brought along Feng Xue'er as they approached at an alarming speed. They had taken their time at first, but then they suddenly sensed a terrifying devilish energy. Furthermore, this devilish energy did not originate from Xunyu Wenshan. Instead, it was exactly the same as the devilish energy Xianxia had released a month ago, so they had hurried over at the greatest speed, while shock and fear shook their hearts. Big brother Yun! Feng Xue'er was seized by panic as she rushed towards Xianxia's side, supporting his body, which was entwined by black energy off the ground. The little demon empress set Feng Xue'er down and spoke in a serious tone. Xianxia, quickly focus your thoughts and summon out the primordial profound arc. We will immediately head to the Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. No one would be able to understand the kind of terrifying circumstance that Xianxia found himself in right now. Just having devil energy invade one's body was already incredibly terrifying, but this devil energy was erupting from within Xianxia's body. If it was someone else, they would not even have the opportunity to struggle in agony. They would have lost their lives in practically 1 instant. Xianxia could barely make out any intelligible words, but with his strong will, he managed to successfully summon forth the primordial profound arc, while correctly setting the coordinates to travel to the entrance of the Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. After it had instantly jumped through space, the little demon empress picked up Xianxia and carried him into Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley once more. The last time around, even though Xianxia did not explain, they had all naturally assumed that his condition had been due to the sudden flaring up of the devil energy that had infiltrated Xianxia's body after his fight with Xunyu Wenshan. So they definitely had not thought of the fact that this devilish energy was actually coming from inside Xianxia's body. This time, however, the both of them were struck by a profound feeling that something was not right. After they entered Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley again after 1 month, the both of them clearly sensed that the fire aura in this place had once again weakened by a great amount. The volcanoes in the original Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley were initially in a state of constant and violent eruption, and one could see roiling lava and seas of fire everywhere. But today, nearly half of those volcanoes had gone dormant, and the lava and the seas of fire seemed far more sluggish than before. But right now, none of them were in the correct frame of mind to bother about these continuing bizarre changes. They brought Xianxia towards the end of Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley at the fastest speed possible. The Empress of the illusory demon realm, Xianxia, begs to see the Golden Crow divine god. The little demon empress cried towards the scarlet sky, "I beg that the Golden Crow divine god appear before us." The little demon empress continued to cry out, but the only thing that answered her was heavy silence. It was only after she had cried out more than 10 times that the sky finally rang with the Golden Crow divine spirit's voice. "Xianxia, why do you disturb this noble one's rest yet again?" "Golden Crow divine spirit," Feng Xue'er said anxiously. "It's big brother Yun, the same devil energy that appeared on his body the last time has reappeared yet again, so I beg that you save him." The little demon empress and Feng Xue'er clearly could sense the space around them suddenly tightening up. Clang! The eyes of the Golden Crow finally opened up in the air above. The dazzling light that came from its eyes caused the scarlet sky to turn a dull gold. The golden light that radiated from its eyes quickly fell upon Xianxia's body, and after a brief period of silence, a long and drawn-out sigh rang through Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. "The both of you may leave. Within 10 days, no one is allowed to take a step into this place." 10 days, the little demon empress said with an alarmed expression on her face. "Golden Crow divine god, just what is wrong with Xianxia?" Before her voice had even finished falling, a golden light had already enshrouded her before kicking both her and Feng Xue'er out of the world of Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley. "Scre!" A long cry filled the air as those scarlet golden eyes abruptly grew wide, and scarlet golden fire fell from the sky like a storm of meteors, engulfing Xianxia in a sea of golden flames. The black energy was slowly suppressed by the violent Golden Crow flames. The pressure on Xianxia's body lessened as he managed to sit up straight with much difficulty and focus his mind. He started to absorb and guide the Golden Crow divine spirit's boundless power into his body. And gradually, the black color on his face began to recede, and his complexion returned to normal. His breathing also began growing steady. "It has just been a short month, so how did the devil origin orb break out of its seal so quickly and flare up again?" The Golden Crow divine spirit's voice rang in Xianxia's ears. "Xianxia, HMPH, this noble one has already found the cause," the Golden Crow divine spirit said gravely. "There is another heavy emotional issue that plagues your heart, causing you to block up your heart and be in a state of sorrow all this time, while also accelerating the growth of the devil origin orb's power." "Even sorrow will influence the devil origin orb?" Xianxia asked in a low voice. "Sorrow is the same thing as rage, greed, and resentment. All of them are negative emotions. Furthermore, strong negative emotions will agitate and accelerate the revival of the devil origin orb's power. HMPH, this noble one had never thought that such a gigantic emotional knot could form in your heart given your experiences and temperament." Xianxia could only smile bitterly in response. "It looks like you have already seen the memory fragment that your master left for you." When the Golden Crow divine spirit had scanned Xianxia's memories 3 months ago, it had also read the memory fragment that Jasmine had left for him. So it knew about the message Jasmine left for Xianxia before Xianxia himself found out about it. Xianxia was not surprised at all. He merely muttered in a soft voice, "The reason human beings are humans beings is because all of their emotions and desires are fully intact. My mind knows that I should not be wallowing in sorrow, but I am simply unable to accept that I've lost my little fairy, and our child as well. I also don't know how long I will need before I am able to truly accept everything." HMPH, this is precisely the aspect of humanity that is most ridiculous and feeble. If it was someone else, this noble one could forcefully seal away this memory. But given your present soul strength, even this noble one is unable to forcefully interfere with your memories anymore. That's fine. The devil origin orb in your body not only broke its seal, but it also behaved even more violently than it did the last time. Given this noble one's remaining power, I can just barely suppress it by force. But if I want to seal it again, not only will I need a lot of time, I will also need to rely on the Sea of Death. For the next 10 days, you will need to remain inside the Sea of Death at all times. You're not allowed to leave it for even an instant." A golden light fell from the sky and picked Xianxia up before instantly depositing him into the boundless Sea of Death. Since it has come to this, we regrettably have no other choice, so let's give it our best shot. The Golden Crow Divine Spirit said with a low sigh as it infused the last of its divine power into the Sea of Death. 10 days was only the time the Golden Crow Divine Spirit predicted. However, the scariness of the current state of the Devil Origin Orb far surpassed the Golden Crow Divine Spirit's prediction. Xianxia's body has long surpassed that of any normal human. From head to toe, he was a true monster. His body actually perfectly combined the evil god's profound veins, the phoenix's blood, the dragon god's blood, the golden crow's blood, the strength of the rage god, as well as the serious power, and there had not been any rejections. Needless to say, the Golden Crow Divine Spirit, or even if the actual Golden Crow Divine Beast was present, it would not be able to comprehend the existence of this monster. This was also the main reason why the Golden Crow Divine Spirit gifted everything to him without hesitation after reading his memories. And within this monster's body, the speed at which the Devil Origin Orb grew was illogical as well. This was the second time the Golden Crow Divine Spirit used all its strength to help him seal the Devil Origin Orb, but its spirit was still continuously shocked. Finally, after 16 long days, the Devil Origin Orb was once again sealed with difficulty within Xianxia's body. Within the Sea of Death, Xianxia opened his eyes and sensed that his body was no longer invaded by the devilish aura. He inhaled and flew out, escaping from the Sea of Death and landing on the scarlet grounds near the Sea of Death. Just as he was about to give his thanks to the Golden Crow Divine Spirit, he was suddenly shocked. The Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley, that was usually constantly filled with the sounds of the raging sea of flames, was now unusually quiet. At one glance, all the volcanoes within vision actually lay dormant. There was not one that was erupting. The lava was flowing slowly, and the sea of flames that originally scorched the skies could now no longer be described as a sea of flames. The flames were dull, and they burned slowly and weakly. Turning back and looking towards the Sea of Death, the boundless flames rumbled, but the colors had turned completely dark, as though it was a fierce beast at the end of its life. Xianxia lifted up his head, and high up in the sky, the Golden Crow Divine Spirit's golden eyes was staring at him. However, the divine pressure that originated from it was greatly inferior to before. Golden Crow Divine Spirit, Xianxia was feeling complicated. I thank you for saving me once again. This noble one has mentioned before, there's no need for such useless words, the Golden Crow Divine Spirit coldly replied. Whatever this noble one wants to do, no one can stop. Whatever this noble one does not want to do, no one can force either. Since you're fine now, hurry up and leave. This noble one already does not have much time left. If she still does not go into slumber, this world might collapse at any time. However, remember, you must let go of the knot in your heart quickly. Otherwise, the Devil Origin Orb in your body might break free at any time. Xianxia still did not leave immediately. Instead, he calmly asked, Golden Crow Divine Spirit, can you straightforwardly answer one of my questions? Golden Crow Divine Spirit, how long do I have left? Xianxia's tone and expression seemed exceptionally calm. The air suddenly became dense, and the golden eye that was in the air remained silent for a long time before slowly replying. To know your own death date is a thing that is more fearsome than death. Are you really sure you want to know? I have to know. Xianxia's expression still remained calm. 1 month, the Golden Crow Divine Spirit replied straightforwardly. Xianxia's eyelids slowly closed and he exhaled one long breath. 1 month. That's not much different from what I predicted. The next time the Devil Origin Orb's energy overflows will be the day of my death. He laughed self-mockingly. I never expected that I, Xianxia, would die in the end because of an inanimate object, heh? There's a part of me that can't accept this. This is the last time this noble one is able to help you. The Devil Origin Orb within your body is constantly growing. The next time it goes out of control, even if this noble one were to have regained his full strength and was not in this current state, it would still be nearly impossible to reseal it. This noble one using up all his strength to seal it now would only allow it to remain for about a month. That's why you had better leave this place quickly and think carefully what you want to do in this last month. Xianxia remained silent for some time before suddenly asking, Golden Crow Divine Spirit, since you know that there's a Devil Origin Orb within me, and I'm unable to be saved and destined to die, why are you still willing to use up a large amount of your last remaining strength to save me? Because this noble one is willing, that is all, the Golden Crow Divine Spirit coldly replied. Xianxia, when this noble one read your memories back then, I was shocked by your physique and experience. I knew for certain that your talent was oddly strong. Along with your exceptional talent, you'd be the perfect successor. That was why this noble one bestowed upon you everything, and hoped that the flame of the golden crow left in this world would burn brightly within you. However, unexpectedly, you seem to have used up all your luck in the first half of your life. In just the span of 2 years, you encountered such calamity that even this noble one is unable to save you. On this plane, there is nothing that can save you either. However, you are, after all, the person that this noble one has chosen. Even if it was the wrong choice, it still has to be followed through to the end. This was the Golden Crow Divine Spirit's explanation. Each word was uttered with deep arrogance and stubbornness. I still have one question, and this question is of utmost importance to me, Xianxia continued to ask. His eyes slightly narrowed and his gaze became dull. If I forcefully open the fifth realm of the evil god, Hades, is there any possibility of me killing Xuanyuan? The Golden Crow Divine Spirit was stunned for a moment before she suddenly laughed heartily. Ha 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 ha. Good question, this should be what you're like. Xianxia also laughed. Looks like you can probably give me a clear enough answer. After all, you inherited some of the Golden Crow's memories, and when the Golden Crow was alive, it had a close relationship with the evil god. You should have a rough gauge of the evil god's strength. No, this noble one actually does not know the evil god's strength much better than you, the Golden Crow said in a low voice. However, based on the strength you possessed when you forcefully activated Rumbling Heaven against the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign, if you were to open your Hades, you might indeed be able to forcefully kill Xuanyuan, Xianxia. However, it is only a possibility. However, if you were to forcefully open Hades, the consequences wouldn't be possible death, but certain death, even if it's just for 1 or 2 moments. When you battled the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign initially, although you managed to forcefully open the Rumbling Heaven to forcefully exterminate him, I hope that you have not forgotten the miserable state that you ended up in. Back then, if your master had not forcefully closed the evil god's realm for you, you would have died on the spot then. Now, your strength far exceeds the time when you battled the Moon Slaughter Devil Sovereign. Your physique has also changed greatly. However, you can at most maintain the powers of Rumbling Heavens for 1 moment. If you were to forcefully open the Hades the moment your strength was released, your body would also be smashed into smithereens with no chance of survival. All right, Xianxia gradually nodded. Both his hands clenched tightly, but his face did not reveal any disappointment, fear, or unwillingness to resign. Instead, there was a slight smile that had a hint of ferocity. Since you said it's possible, then there's definitely a possibility. Judging from what you said, are you prepared to bet your life? Heh, since I'm going to die, why shouldn't I bet? Xianxia laughed lowly. Ha 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 ha. The Golden Crow Divine Spirit laughed heartily once again. As a person that is about to die, you aren't thinking about how miserable your life is, but instead how to die even more miserably. As expected, this noble one did not choose the wrong person, and also did not save the wrong person. Your blazing integrity and resolve is worthy enough of the Golden Crow's blood and Golden Crow's soul in your body. This sovereign is not going to stop you since you have already decided. You should hurry to return to the profound sky continent then. You should know that the devilish blood within Xuanyuan's body is awakening every day, and his strength is also increasing by the day. The longer O day this, the greater the certainty of your death. If you really can exterminate Xuanyuan, the entire illusory demon realm will be saved because of you, and your death would be worth it. I understand, Xianxia muttered under his breath. But I still need some time, perhaps 2 or 3 days. HMPH, is all this for your final farewell? The Golden Crow Divine Spirit said without care. Other than that, there's one more thing. Xianxia turned around, looked into the distance as his gaze gradually became hazy. 2 hazy figures appeared in his heart and gradually became more and more clear. Also, gradually, they bonded together and became one figure. I want to return to Azure Cloud Continent to see Linger. I want to know whether what I witnessed and experienced 6 years ago was a dream or not. Xianxia's voice softened as though he was recalling his dream. Since you're determined to die, what's the point in meeting her? The Golden Crow Divine Spirit coldly said. After reading Xianxia's memories, she knew who Linger was and also knew what dream he referred to. However, as the spirit of a divine beast, it knew nothing of the love between humans. I'm okay with a look from afar. Xianxia faintly smiled. If that wasn't a dream and it was really Linger, even if I were to die, I can die feeling a little more satisfied. Then when are you preparing to go? The Azure Cloud continent is millions of kilometers away from the illusory demon realm. Right now, Xianxia said without hesitation. He did not prepare to say his farewells with the little demon empress or his parents, because this would undoubtedly increase their worries. Furthermore, he had absolutely no way of explaining everything. If the Azure Cloud continent's linger was actually a dream, he would completely give up hope as well. If that were really linger, he would fulfill his wish before returning to spend his remaining time with them. After that, he would use his life to bring Xuanxuan with him to hell. The Azure Cloud continent was about 5 million kilometers away from the profound Sky continent. The distance between the illusory demon realm and the Azure Cloud continent was about that far as well. Jasmine had once told him that with the remaining power left in the primordial profound arc, it could at most make one round trip to the Azure Cloud continent. However, given Xianxia's current state, once was already enough. After leaving Golden Crow Lightning Flame Valley, Xianxia did not return to Demon Imperial City, but instead immediately activated the primordial profound arc. Jasmine had already left behind the location of the Azure Cloud continent in his memory. The consequences of going to the Azure Cloud continent were something he could not predict. However, if he did not go, it would remain a massive regret in his life. The spatial transfer of millions of kilometers similarly only required one moment. Leaving the primordial profound arc, Xianxia's emotions were suddenly in a turmoil, because the ground that he stepped on was the already familiar yet exceptionally distant Azure Cloud continent. Azure Cloud continent, he muttered under his breath. His master, his linger, all that happened within this world. Countless memories and images flooded his mind like surging waves and rumbled violently. No one could understand his experiences of 2 lifetimes, and similarly, no one could understand how he was feeling right now. A gentle mountain breeze blew, calming Xianxia's heart. He finally looked at his surroundings. In front of his eyes was a mountain that meandered upwards. Its highest peaks were above the clouds, and turning around, 500 kilometers of scenery could be seen. He was obviously standing on the side of a tall mountain. Xianxia quietly looked at his surroundings, and quickly, a name flashed past his mind. This was Grandwake Mountain. His heart was greatly shocked. The position that Jasmine had imprinted in his soul was not just the general location of the Azure Cloud continent, but it accurately pinpointed the location of the Grandwake Mountain that stood nearby. As for the Grandwake clan Su Linger belonged to, it lay at the foot of this Grandwake Mountain. His heart fluttered, and he was unable to calm down. Xianxia was not in the mood to admire the scenery of Grandwake Mountain. He immediately descended, and before long, he arrived at the foot of the mountain. A huge jade-green forest stretched at the foot of Grandwake Mountain. Entering the forest, Xianxia slowed down his footsteps and walked ever more and more slowly. 6 years ago, within the dreamlike world, this place was also a large forest. Then, Su Linger excitedly brought him to the forest while jumping and hopping, because this was her favorite place. This place was also a forest. If everything was real, the other end of the forest would be the Grandwake clan she resided in. Xianxia's footsteps became lighter, as though he was afraid that his movement might disrupt the gentle breeze here. He especially desired to meet Su Linger, but was also afraid that everything from start to end had been just a dream. The forest was exceptionally quiet, except for the sound of the wind blowing and the branches rustling. There was no other movement, nor were there any figures of people or beasts. Rather than quiet, it would be more accurate to describe it as eerily lonely. Xianxia continued moving, and after walking for some time, he suddenly stopped. In the midst of the dense forest, there was a small plot of empty land. In the middle of the empty land, there was a bamboo house that lay quietly there. The bamboo house was small and simple, and even looked rather old. All the bamboo was now yellowish in color. Looking at the small bamboo house, Xianxia's eyes blurred. He hurried forward and opened the unlatched bamboo door. Inside the bamboo house, there was a small bed and table made of bamboo. Xianxia stretched out his trembling hand and gently pressed onto the bamboo bed. The bed was simple yet sturdy. Following his palm, coming into contact with it, it made a soft, squeaking noise. There was not one speck of dust on the bed either. Looking up at the top of the bamboo house, there was a round hole. At night, the bright moonlight would shine through from above and illuminate the entire interior of the house. For 6 whole years, other than the bamboo turning yellow, nothing about the bamboo house had changed. It was as though it was a baby that had been carefully loved and cared for in one's arms. For 6 whole years, there was no damage at all. Linger, it's Linger, it's Linger, it's Linger, it's really Linger. Xianxia's mind crashed. His vision became completely blurred, his emotions a complete mess, his soul trembling furiously. Every ounce of blood within him boiled with intensity. Although Jasmine had repeatedly told him with complete confidence that the illusion from 6 years ago was definitely not an illusion, he still bore a sense of disbelief. He dared not believe that there was a truth in this world that was so perfect that it was like a dream. He dared not hope that he could still hug the Linger that he had already lost for eternity. However, this forest and the small bamboo house that he built for Su Linger within the forest proved that whatever happened 6 years ago was not a dream but actually reality. It was a truth that he dared not even imagine in his dreams. Linger, Linger, Linger. The warm feeling that engulfed his entire body was not going to his head. Xianxia rushed out of the house, continuously calling Su Linger's name, and rushed like a madman in the direction of the Grandwake clan in his memory. Countless green bamboos were knocked down by him, but he could not be bothered about it and continuously sped up. Just when he was about to leap into the sky, a blowing wind from in front brought an abnormal pungent smell along. This was a smell Xianxia was exceptionally familiar with. This was obviously the smell of a rotting corpse. As though a pail of cold water had just been poured onto him, Xianxia's senses seemed to swiftly recover from his vigorous agitation to a clear mind. This was clearly very close to Grandwake clan. Why was there such a strong smell of a rotting corpse? Xianxia sped up as he moved forward, the smell in the air becoming stronger and stronger. Gradually, the forest in front was no longer intact, and there was a large amount of damage. The ground and the body of the bamboo were all filled with stains of blood that had already dried up long ago. Xianxia's eyebrows sunk, and a corpse also appeared in his sight then. Within a forest like this, the speed at which a corpse decayed would not be too quick. Judging from the condition of the rotting corpse in front, it had already been dead for half a month. However, what caused Xianxia's heart to grip tightly was the blood-stained clothes that the corpse wore. That was obviously the clothing of someone from the Grandwake clan. Furthermore, there was not just that corpse. As Xianxia continued forward, the front part of the forest had been completely destroyed. Dried-up stains of blood covered the entire floor and broken bamboos. The further forward he proceeded, the more corpses there were. In the end, all the corpses were stacked up together, and the scene was startling. The pungent smell of rotting corpses completely covered the fresh air coming from the bamboo forest. Along the way, he saw close to 1,000 corpses altogether. The time which they died was fairly close to one another, and judging from their clothes, they all belonged to the Grandwake clan. Xianxia's expression became worse and worse. His previous agitation and mad joy was replaced by a bone-piercing coldness. Let alone thousands of corpses, even if 10,000 or 100,000 laid in front of Xianxia, his expression would not change. However, this was near the Grandwake clan, and for half a month, no one bothered with the corpses of these members of Grandwake clan. This undoubtedly proved that something terrible had happened to the Grandwake clan. Then Linger, an icy cold aura spread from Xianxia's spine to the top of his head. His fists clenched tightly, his scalp numb, and he rushed forward towards the Grandwake clan like lightning. Just what had happened to the Grandwake clan. Linger, you must be fine. I pray for your safety. Xianxia activated the extreme mirage lightning at full strength, and very quickly, the Grandwake clan from 6 years ago appeared before his eyes. Staring at the southern door of the Grandwake clan from afar, although Xianxia was extremely worried, he did not immediately barge in. Instead, he stopped, hid his aura with the hidden flowing lightning before he proceeded silently towards the Grandwake clan. Within the Grandwake clan, several figures were moving about. It did not seem like they were in any peril, nor was there any extremely cautious aura. Everything looked as though it was normal. Sneaking into the Grandwake clan, Xianxia soon realized that there were several unusually strong auras among them. 32 thrones, 2 level 2 overlords, and even 1 level 8 overlord. Xianxia's gaze instantly became cold. The Grandwake clan and Blackwood stronghold reigned within the region of the country of Supwake, and the Grandwake clan was slightly stronger than the Blackwood stronghold. Here, the Sky Profound realm was already a pinnacle existence. If a throne were to appear, he was sufficient to reign over the entire River East. Even the 2 hegemons of the Grandwake clan and Blackwood stronghold were not at the level of thrones either. However, right now, there were 32 thrones and 3 overlords who suddenly appeared with the Grandwake clan, and their profound auras were obviously not those of the members of the Grandwake clan. Xianxia gritted his teeth slightly. His heart was expanding with unease. He could only constantly pray for Su Linger's safety in his heart and that nothing had happened to her. Otherwise, he would not be able to predict what kind of crazy things he would do. Inhaling deeply, Xianxia hurriedly sneaked into the Grandwake clan and directly went to the positions of those overlords. Then, as he passed by 2 disciples of Grandwake clan, he heard their conversation. Back then, if the clan master wasn't kind enough to adopt me, I would have lost my life already. I wouldn't even need to compare with what I have now. However, I've betrayed the clan master. Sigh, sometimes when I think about it, I'm really inhumane. Your choice was not wrong. You have already seen that those who were stubborn and maintained their loyalty are all dead. After all, they were the 7-star Divine Hall. Only idiots would be foolish enough to go against them. 7-star Divine Hall. This name caused Xianxia's eyes to shrink slightly. Sigh, why must Clan Master be so stubborn? Follow young Clan Master's plan and leech off 7-star Divine Hall. This is something other sects could never even dream about. I heard that even though the Clan Master has already been trapped for so long, he still refuses to say anything. No one knows why he's persevering this hard. He would give up a rare opportunity and seek death. No idea if we should call him righteous or stubborn. The conversation between the two suddenly stopped, and 2 ice-cold palms suddenly appeared out of nowhere and gripped their throats firmly. The eyes of the 2 Grandwake clan disciples expanded, and their faces revealed shock. It was as though they had just seen a ghost. The clan master you all are referring to, is he Xianxia? The 2 of them nodded in fear, unable to utter any sound. Tell me, where is he being kept? Xianxia's voice was bone-chillingly ice-cold. However, once he found out that Xianxia had not died, he felt slightly more relieved. The hand that gripped the guy on the right gradually loosened, allowing him to utter in a difficult voice, "He's in the cell, the innermost one." Then what about Su Linger? As Xianxia asked this question, his chest expanded greatly once again. The 2 of their eyes widened and drifted away as they both shook their heads. Heh! Xianxia laughed unusually creepily. Remember, in your next lives, don't be ungrateful beasts. With a soft crack, the bones in both throats were instantly and mercilessly destroyed by the enraged Xianxia. Xianxia had a very clear impression of the Grandwake clan's dungeon. Back then, when Su Linger led him around to observe the Grandwake clan, she had once mentioned that the dungeon was at the extreme east, and it was also a place that she had never approached. Xianxia concealed his presence, but he was still incomparably quick as he speedily moved to the most inner portion of the Grandwake clan. In just a few moments, he had already flashed past not even 3 meters in front of a Grandwake clan disciple. However, the other party did not have any reaction at all. He basically did not even catch a glimpse of a shadow flashing past at all. Based on the location in his memories, the entrance to the prison of the Grandwake clan should soon appear before Xianxia's eyes. The turbid air that was suffusing toward him was the best proof. In front of the dungeon, 6 people kept guard. Among them, 4 wore the uniform of the Grandwake clan, evidently the disciples of the Grandwake clan. However, the other 2 people were dressed in black, and on the front of their chests, they were marked with a faint yellow constellation intersected vertically and horizontally by 7 stars. Xianxia's brows fiercely furrowed. This 7-star mark was the proof of being a disciple of 7 stars Divine Palace. In the Azure Cloud continent, not a single person dared to impersonate one. 7 stars Divine Palace was one of the biggest sects in the Azure Cloud continent. Along with Heaven-Thwarting Sect and Soaring Celestial Sword Sect, they were the 3 great overlords of Azure Cloud continent. The 3 powers could be said to be the pillars of the continent, and their positions in Azure Cloud continent were not any less than the 4 great sacred grounds of the profound Sky continent. Just what was going on? 7 stars Divine Palace and the Grandwake clan were clearly existences from 2 completely different planes. How did the small Grandwake clan offend 7 stars Divine Palace? Just what in the world happened? Linger, where's Linger? What happened to her? 4 Grandwake clan disciples were earnestly guarding the entrance of the dungeon. Every single one of them was standing straight and upright, and the weapons in their hands were gripped firmly. They did not even dare to glance at the 2 7 stars Divine Palace disciples in front of them. Their cautious and fearful looks were as if they were shivering ants facing a devil god. The 2 Divine Palace disciples crookedly sat on the ground, their faces filled with irritation. The corners of their eyes would occasionally glance at the 4 Grandwake clan disciples behind them, filled with looks of extreme disdain. The one on the right leisurely said, "I really wonder what Hall Chief is thinking. He's actually staying in a place like this in the middle of nowhere for so many days. In a small place like this where even I can poke everyone to death with a single finger, how can there be any decent treasure?" The other Divine Palace disciple scanned his surroundings with narrowed eyes and suddenly said with a suppressed voice, "I heard from rumors that Hall Chief bringing us out this time was actually the Palace Chief's intention." WH? What? That can't be right. This place, how can there possibly be anything that someone with a status like the Palace Chief be interested in? Now that isn't something I know about, and it's something impossible for us little figures to know about either. We just have to earnestly listen and obey orders, and it's best if we don't inquire about it too much. While hearing these two terrifying experts, who donned the 7 stars and had profound strength at the Emperor Profound Realm, actually referring to themselves as little figures, the 4 Grandwake clan disciples gulped down their saliva one after another. They looked even more terrified than before. But from what I've heard from the Hall Chief, he seemed to have already ascertained that the item is in Su Linger's hands. As long as that Su Linger is found, the mission this time will be completed. However, half a month has already passed, and that little brat has yet to be found. It is reported that her profound strength is merely at the Spirit Profound Realm. She can't even fly, so where can she escape to? She is probably hiding in the deep mountains or in old forests that very few people go to. HMPH, the entire country of Supwake is currently sealed by us and the Supwake Imperial family. All of the sects are undergoing the search according to our orders as well, so even an ant shouldn't even think of flying out of our grasp. I guess that at most in another 3 days, we can capture her and bring her back here. Yunqi clearly heard Su Linger's name from these 2 Divine Palace disciples' conversation. She was actually being hunted by 7 Stars Divine Palace. From their conversation, Su Linger had yet to be found. This was a huge relief. However, she, who was just a 16-year-old girl with profound strength at the Spirit Profound Realm, was actually being hunted by the powerful 7 Stars Divine Palace, and was also being pursued all around the country by all of the sects of the country of Supwake and the Supwake Imperial family. Furthermore, they had even unhesitatingly sealed the entire country of Supwake in order to capture her. Not to mention, this had continued for around half a month. In this half a month, every breath must have been an unimaginable terror and nightmare for Su Linger. Extremely thick anger, killing intent, and hatred wildly grew and surged within Yunqi's chest. He instantly broke out of the seal of his hidden flowing lightning and flew into the sky. From his tightly clenched hands, a seemingly ear-trembling, bone-grinding noise had even rung out. "Who is it?" The 2 Divine Palace disciples were instantly startled into action. However, the moment they spoke out, before they could even stand up, a pair of crimson-red eyes that looked as though they were dyed in blood had already appeared before them. Bang, bang, fiery light exploded. The 2 Divine Palace disciples had instantly turned into ash, and they did not even have the time to let out screams. Furthermore, even right to their deaths, they did not clearly see just who sent them to the pits of hell. The 4 Grandwake clan disciples who were guarding the entrance of the dungeon were all standing blankly, their expressions dumbfounded. Their eyeballs were protruding out, as though their horrified souls had already scattered into the air. They wanted to scream out loud, but their throats felt as if they were being stuffed by something, so they could only let out dry groaning noises under their intense fear. As members of the Grandwake clan, you people actually harmed the family of your own clan master and become dogs. Do you people still have the face to live? Yunqi's body trembled. Under his extreme anger, his phoenix flames and golden crow flames were both at the brink of losing control as they violently burnt around his body. With a wave of his palm, the 4 Grandwake clan disciples instantly sank into the sea of flames, turning to ash. At the same time, the dungeon gate, which was constructed with profound metals, directly melted as well. Whilst carrying a terrifying heat wave and surging fury, Yunqi charged into the dungeon. The loud sounds and irregular aura had undoubtedly and immediately startled the entire Grandwake clan, especially the people from 7 Stars Divine Palace. In an instant, a roar sounded in all directions within the Grandwake clan, and seemingly everyone had charged straight towards the direction of the dungeon. Who is it? Who dares to break into the dungeon? Ah, there were 3 waves of guards in the dark dungeon. The moment they realized an anomaly, they had already been heartlessly smashed into pieces by Yunqi. Fresh blood and tattered corpses rained down on the rancid-smelling dungeon floor. The alarm bells were already sounding loudly outside, but Yunqi did not care in the least. All the obstructions and doors within the dungeon were brutally smashed apart by him. Rather than saying he was moving hastily through the dungeon, it would be more accurate to say that the entire dungeon was being brutally chiseled through. Very quickly, Xianxia charged into the extreme depths of the dungeon without pause. This was the darkest place in the entire dungeon. There were no lights, and one could not see his fingers of his stretched hand due to how pitch black it was. However, Xianxia could clearly sense an extremely frail aura. Xianxia swung out his palm, and a ball of scarlet-red flames lighted up at the side of the wall. The flames instantly brightened the entire dungeon. At the end of the dungeon was a jet-black wall forged by profound metals, and a person was being tightly pinned to the wall with several dozen chains. His robe was ragged, and his entire body was drenched in blood. His aura was weak, seemingly on his last breath. Evidently, he had endured immense torture. A large half of his face was covered by his disheveled hair, while the remaining half of his face was blurred with streaks of dried bloodstains. However, Xianxia was still able to recognize on first glance that this person was actually the clan master of the Grandwake clan, father of Xue'er, Xu Hengshan. A violent emotion charged right into Xianxia's head, however. It was then immediately fiercely suppressed. Xianxia took in a heavy breath and hurriedly charged forward. Clan Master Xu! Bang, 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 bang. Several masses of flames shot out from Xianxia's hand, burning and breaking all of the chains on Xu Hengshan's body. The shattered chains rattled as they fell onto the ground. Xu Hengshan's body shook and then limply fell towards the ground, however. He was then immediately caught and held tightly by Xianxia. Xu Hengshan was not unconscious. He slowly raised his head. His blurry vision passed through his disheveled hair and looked at the youth who had suddenly appeared before his eyes. "You are..." His voice was dry and coarse, but after just speaking those two words, he suddenly paused. Even his pair of initially dimly lit eyes had instantly widened, emitting out a trembling glow. They had not met for more than 6 years. Xianxia had grown about half a foot, and even his expression and demeanor were greatly different than before. However, his appearance did not undergo an overly obvious transformation. Adding that while Xue'er had been obsessed with him in these few years, looking forward to see him every single day, Xu Hengshan was concerned about Xue'er, so it was natural that he would not forget Xianxia's appearance. You are Xianxia." "It's me." Xianxia strongly nodded, his eyes grew slightly warm. "It's really you." Xu Hengshan tremblingly stretched out his hand, not daring to believe his own eyes. "It's really me." Xianxia pressed his palm against Xu Hengshan's chest, inserting the pure energy of heaven and earth into his body. "Clan Master Xu, I'm Xianxia. I've returned." Under Xianxia's nature energy, Xu Hengshan could feel a clear and cooling sensation spreading through his entire body. In just a short span of a few breaths, vitality was actually quickly being birthed from his initially weak and powerless body. His messed-up senses quickly regained their clarity, and even his withered, profound energy was recovering at an astonishing speed. "Xianxia, you!" Xu Hengshan's excitement was now accompanied by shock and disbelief. For a moment he felt as though he was living in a dream. However, as his spirits gradually regained clarity, he suddenly realized something and anxiously said, "No, hurry and leave now." Boom. A loud reverberation came from behind, as the entrance of the dungeon was violently blasted apart by an immense strength. Xianxia slowly turned around. The killing intent and anger he had been desperately holding in was rumbling in his chest, about to burst apart. He sensed 26 auras charging into the dungeon, while the other auras were surrounding the outside of the dungeon. Among these 26 auras, there were 3 overlords that belonged to 7 Stars Divine Palace at the very front. There was even a level 8 overlord, who should be the one commanding all of the Divine Palace disciples here. This is bad, there's no time left. The quickly approaching auras and reverberations turned all of Xu Hengshan's excitement into fear. He stood up in a struggling manner, wanting to stand in front of Xianxia. "Xianxia, being able to see you again right before my death, and having you risk your life to save me has already cleared a large part of my regrets. At the very least, Linger's 6 years of obsessive anticipation were not for nothing. However, the people at the other side are very terrifying. They are more terrifying than you imagine. If you have the opportunity later, please escape. You mustn't worry about me." Xianxia pushed out his palm, blocking Xu Hengshan behind him, and slowly shook his head. If Xu Hengshan could see Xianxia's eyes right now, he would definitely be shocked to the point of being speechless. That was a pair of eyes belonging to a crazed fiend covered in blood. The palm he used to press towards Xianxia's chest turned into a grab as he rose into the air while carrying Xianxia along. Boom! With a loud sound, the roof of the dungeon was immediately blasted apart and eye-piercing rays of light rained down. When Xianxia descended again, he was already standing outside the dungeon along with Xianxia, their feet already stepping on the ground of the eastern courtyard of Grandwake clan. Carrying Xianxia, the moment Xianxia landed on the ground, he was instantly surrounded by a large group of people. Undoubtedly, the people who surrounded them were all disciples of the Grandwake clan. When they saw Xianxia covered in bloodstains and his disheveled hair, though some had complicated and cramped expressions for a moment, there was not the least bit of hesitation in surrounding them. Rows of sparkling weapons were pointed straight at them. "You still wish to run? Let me see where you're going to run off to." An overbearing voice resounded from the collapsed dungeon. Hearing this voice, the name Xue'er flashed past Xianxia's mind. Xianxia's only son, Su Linger's brother from a different mother, someone who he had already been extremely disgusted with in the dreamscape 6 years ago. The crowd split open, and the 26 people Xianxia sensed earlier leisurely walked over. Walking at the very front was a middle-aged man dressed entirely in black robe. His appearance was on the thin side with a slight hint of paleness, and the most conspicuous part of his body was the constellation of 7 stars marked on the black robe on the front of his chest. The constellation was deep green, highlighting that he had a considerable status in 7 stars divine palace. As he walked, his entire body emitted out a lofty aura of someone in a high position, as though he was the king overlooking everything in this piece of land, while the rest were merely ants. The profound aura emitting from his body was to the extent of the 8th level of the Tyrant Profound realm. Behind him were 2 middle-aged men who were similarly dressed in black robes and had light green constellations marked on the front of their chests. They were precisely the other 2 overlords Xianxia sensed, but they were both early-stage overlords. Further behind were a few familiar faces. Xue'er, who shouted out earlier. Su Hengyu, who collaborated with Blackwood's stronghold and wanted to force Xianxia to hand over the key to the treasure. Su Wangji, the Grand Elder with the highest seniority in the Grandwake clan. Even Haimu Qingye, the Blackwood stronghold master who was scared off by Xia Qingyu back then, was in the formation as well. Furthermore, from the way these people walked in, it seemed Xue'er was taking the lead. And these people were like a bunch of pugs walking behind the 3 overlords of 7 stars divine palace. Their bodies were slightly arched, taking up respectful postures, as though merely walking with them was like an extremely fearful matter. When they saw Xianxia, they were stunned at the same time as well. Following after, Xue'er was the first to recall him and exclaimed, It's you!" The black-robed man at the very front had been sizing up Xianxia with cold eyes the entire time. Hearing Xue'er's shout, he lightly said, "It seems you recognize this person?" "Ah, yes." As the black-robed man suddenly questioned him, Xue'er's waist hurriedly bent down a little more. "We met a few years ago, but he's just a little figure and doesn't bear mentioning. He isn't worth being mentioned to Lord Divine Envoy." "Little figure?" The black-robed man, who was referred to as Lord Divine Envoy, coldly snorted. "A young level 6 overlord can actually be a little figure." When these words fell, no matter if they were people of the Grandwake clan or 7 stars divine palace, all of them were shocked on the spot. The people who had met Xianxia 6 years ago were even standing there blankly, while even Xianxia, who was blocked behind Xianxia, was greatly astonished. Xue'er's eyes widened, and then he stammered. Sixth level of Overlord. That's impossible. 6 years ago, he was only at the Spirit Profound realm. How could he? What? Could it be that this Great One's sensing abilities are inferior to yours? The black-robed Divine Envoy's voice suddenly turned cold. Xue'er instantly trembled as he said fearfully, No, this little one has misspoken. Even if this little one had 10,000 more guts, I wouldn't dare to suspect Lord Divine Envoy. I beg Lord Divine Envoy for your forgiveness." Watching his own son groveling like a pug, Xianxia's expression was indifferent. Seemingly not a single hint of pain could be seen on his face, because he had long been numbed by the immense pain and grief. "Young man, I sense that your age should not be over 30, yet you already possess such cultivation," the black-robed Divine Envoy lightly said. "Even in our 7 stars divine palace, a talent of this level is still of the highest caliber. You shouldn't be someone nameless, but from your appearance, it's not likely that you hail from Heaven-Thwarting Sect or Soaring Celestial Sword Sect either. What is your name?" Which sect do you hail from? Who is your master?" His expression fiercely sank. "And who gave you the guts to provoke our 7 stars divine palace?" A level 6 overlord whose age had yet to reach 30. Though the black-robed divine envoy was not afraid, he was unable to stay calm in his heart. That was why he did not immediately make a move and instead wanted to pull out his background. However, no matter what background he had, it was impossible for them to fear him, because they were 7 stars divine palace. Even if this person was truly from heaven-thwarting sect or soaring celestial sword sect, at the very most, he could only stand at the same level as them. Under the energy of heaven and earth that came from Xianxia, Xianxia had already recovered a great amount of his vitality. He struggled to step forward, strongly pushing Xianxia away, and roared out, "Old thief, this young man has simply mistaken me for someone else. I don't know him at all. If you have the guts, then come and kill him right now." He fiercely turned his head towards Xianxia and with an even louder voice roared out, "Look clearly, I'm Xianxia, not Ling Da-tung. This place is the Grandwake clan, not the second profound clan that you're looking for. The matters of my Grandwake clan, the life and death of I, Xianxia, are not matters that you, an outrageous outsider, can meddle in. Why have you not left yet? Scram!" Xianxia. He understood Xianxia's intentions. He was telling him that the people in front of them were not people he could possibly deal with. He wanted him to immediately leave and then look for Linger. Looking at the situation in front of his eyes, the groveling Xue'er and his men, and those corpses dressed in the Grandwake clan's robes found in the bamboo forest. By putting together these details, Xianxia had already more or less understood what happened in the Grandwake clan. He held back the impulse to massacre everyone here, took a step forward, and spoke with an incomparably calm tone. "Have you people located any traces of the places Su Linger has been to? If you have, then speak now so I can let you people die a little more pleasantly." Xianxia was instantly stunned. His stretched-out palms had powerlessly drooped down. The eyes of the black-robed divine envoy fiercely narrowed, and laughter resounded in the surroundings. The disciples of 7 stars divine palace especially were seemingly laughing in concert. The initial cautiousness they had when looking at Xianxia had turned into incomparable ridicule and even pity. "Hef," the black-robed divine envoy let out a light cold laugh and leisurely said, "It seems like though your talent is pretty good, your brain isn't that bright. Oh, I'm mistaken, it's pure idiocy." Xue'er's face was filled with gloating and he arrogantly roared out, "Xianxia, never did I expect that after 6 years, you're actually seeking death the moment you return. Do you know who this great figure standing in front of you is? He's a dignified divine palace envoy of 7 stars divine palace. If you immediately kneel and kowtow now, you might still have a chance. Lord Divine Envoy is magnanimous. He might be able to grant you a full corpse." Xianxia's eyes did not even bat Xue'er a glance, as his eyes slowly narrowed. "I will say it again. Tell me all of the information concerning Su Linger, and I can let you people die a little more pleasantly." "Heth," the black-robed divine envoy let out a low laugh. "It seems like you're intentionally seeking death." Xianxia did not move his body. With only his finger, he lightly tapped towards that divine palace disciple on the right of the black-robed divine envoy. Bang! A slight explosive noise sounded, and it was instantly accompanied by an extremely miserable scream. That divine palace disciple tumbled onto the ground as his chest had exploded apart. Violent golden crow flames, with his chest as the starting point, spread towards his entire body. Wahhhh. Even a monarch could barely endure the incinerating heat of the golden crow flames, let alone an early-stage overlord. Furthermore, this mass of golden crow flames was ignited from within his body. He desperately screamed, desperately rolled about, and desperately used his profound energy to resist, however. How could Xianxia's golden crow flames be influenced by his strength? This terrifying scene, which happened all of a sudden, had made everyone pale in shock, and the complexion of the black-robed divine envoy had similarly changed as well. The divine palace disciple on his left hurriedly charged forward, wanting to extinguish the profound flames on his body. However, the moment his hands made contact with the flames, he suddenly screamed out, as both of his hands had already turned into thick white bones. Following after, the white bones were completely burnt away from the searing flames, while the devil-like flames slowly burnt along his arms, causing him to fall onto the ground amidst intense pain and fear. Like the first divine palace disciple, he desperately rolled and screamed out. The burning of the golden crow flames was especially slow as they leisurely devoured their bodies. This process was accompanied by pain that was even crueler than the purgatory in their imaginations. The screams of the two divine palace disciples were shrilling like the cries of vile ghosts in hell. Their bodies madly rolled about and spasmed. Their eyeballs looked as if they were about to protrude out of their eye sockets from pain, and the blue veins on their foreheads were clearly fleshed out like earthworms. Kill me, I beg you all, kill me, ch. The voices of despair that they desperately mustered out were actually their wishes for death. Bang! Following after the change in Xianxia's expression, the most violent flames in the world suddenly exploded, and in an instant, the bodies of the two divine palace disciples, like shattered rags, broke into pieces, scattering countless fiery fragments. Before these fragments could even land on the ground, they had already been burnt into nothingness. Forget about tattered corpses. Not a single wisp of smoke was left behind. The fiery sparks that splashed onto the ground instantly burnt up thousands of holes like bubbles. Everyone was completely speechless. Every single one of them stared with widened eyes. Their complexions were as pale as paper. The sudden inflation of astonishment and fear made their eyes look as if they were about to explode. Xu Heoran's face had already been drained of all colors, as he retreated in panic and tremblingly said, demonic art! It's a demonic art!" The face of the black-robed divine envoy had already distorted completely, no longer carrying the slightest hint of calmness and loftiness. The paleness of his face highlighted the fast-surging fear in his inner heart. He stepped backwards and suddenly roared out, "Everyone move! Kill him!" When his order fell, the crowd of frightened divine palace disciples trembled as they charged towards Xianxia on conditioned reflex. Xianxia's face was ice-cold, and he did not even bat his surroundings an eye. The flaming light in his hand turned into blue light, and it suddenly flashed. In an instant, several dozen trees of frozen end rose, encasing all the charging divine palace disciples within. Countless ice branches that were bone-piercingly cold stretched out, ruthlessly piercing and stabbing through their bodies. However, under the cold air, before their blood could even flow out, they had already been frozen. Even the draining of their lives had turned especially slow under this cold air. In Thea's short span of a single instant, all the divine palace disciples had already been buried within the trees of frozen end. Every single one of their bodies was penetrated by several dozens of ice branches, like grasshoppers pierced through by poison. However, they did not have any flow of blood, they did not struggle, and they could not even die immediately. Only their mouths were letting out fearful and shrilling miserable cries. When overlapping these screams of despair together, it was like a funeral for the dead that originated from the lowest depths of hell. Among the disciples of 7 Stars Divine Palace that came here, the weakest was still a throne, not to mention that there were 2 early-stage overlords. Any one of them was a powerful godlike existence to the Grandwake clan disciples, and even to all the profound practitioners of the entire River East region. However, in a blink of an eye, they were annihilated by flames and penetrated by cold ice. Not a single one of them made contact with Xianxia's sleeves, nor was there even a single moment of struggle. They were just a living bunch of worms that charged forward and ended up tyrannically mowed down with a step of his foot. The sickly pale face of the black-robed divine envoy had already turned miserably white from fear. As level 8 overlord, he had initially felt absolutely assured in his victory over Xianxia, whose profound aura was merely at the 6th level of the Tyrant Realm. However, even if he was an idiot by now, he should have understood that Xianxia's strength was definitely not as simple as being in the ranks of a level 6 overlord. The most terrifying thing was that the other party basically did not care about their 7 Stars Divine Palace background in the slightest. During the 2 times he attacked, they were all fatal blows that were completely relentless with nothing held back. The feet of the black-robed divine envoy retreated amidst his shock and fear. Then he fiercely pushed away from the crowd, squeezing out his fastest speed. However, how could Xianxia possibly let him escape? Reaching out his hand and grasping it, a blue light softly flashed, and an ice wall was instantly condensed right in front of the black-robed divine envoy. Caught by surprise, the black-robed divine envoy, who was desperately squeezing out and escaping, ruthlessly crashed onto the ice wall. Following after, an irresistible immense energy could be felt from behind, pulling him towards Xianxia's direction at extreme speed. The black-robed divine envoy desperately struggled. However, even after using all his strength, he was unable to escape from Xianxia's power in the slightest. Under immense fear, vile intentions sprouted amidst his fright. He no longer struggled, but had instead suddenly turned around. Letting out a wild roar, the profound energy in his entire body gathered in his arm and then struck towards Xianxia head-on while carrying an astonishing profound energy vortex. Boom! There was neither an ear-trembling blast nor sounds of air explosions, but merely a light ring that sounded especially dull. In a casual manner, Xianxia's hand had already grabbed onto the black-robed Divine Envoy's fist, which was infused with all of the Divine Envoy's profound energy. In an instant, the profound energy vortex disappeared without a trace, while the profound energy that the black-robed Divine Envoy condensed had completely scattered as well. His entire body was thus fixated in midair. His eyes widened due to extreme fear and were on the verge of exploding. Crack! Xianxia's face was ice cold as his hand slightly squeezed. A clear bone-shattering sound instantly resounded. The black-robed Divine Envoy screamed miserably, and he instantly knelt on the ground. His left hand was tightly clasping his right wrist, yet he was unable to free himself in the slightest. The intense pain drained his entire body of its color, and his forehead was raining with sweat. "You, just who in the world are you?" The black-robed Divine Envoy trembled. His voice was coarse. His strength as an level 8 overlord was actually this weak in the face of the person in front of him. To be capable of accomplishing a feat of this extent, one definitely had to possess strength at the level of a monarch. Even in his dreams, he would never have expected that the foreign young man who suddenly appeared in front of him was actually a monarch. As for the surrounding Grandwake clan disciples, their souls had already scattered from astonishment. The faces of Su Heoran, Su Hengyu, and the rest had long lost all of their color. They wanted to retreat, but their legs had gone incomparably limp due to their intense trembling. Forget about escaping, they would soon be incapable of even standing stably. Their current postures were not just because of their astonishment and fear. Xianxia's aura had long enveloped all of their bodies. It was as though an enormous mountain was heavily pressing them down. Facing the black-robed Divine Envoy's question, Xianxia simply smiled with incomparable coldness. Crack, crack, crack. Like several hundreds of beans exploding at the same time, the bones of the entire right arm of the black-robed Divine Envoy were heartlessly shattered in a blink of an eye. The black-robed Divine Envoy let out the miserable squeal of pigs being slaughtered, and his entire body spasmed like a worm that was about to die. Large beads of sweat wildly poured down from all over his body. "Spare my life, hero! Spare my life!" His instincts to plead for his life caused the black-robed Divine Envoy to let out cries for mercy. His distorted face was filled with a lowly, pleading look. Xianxia was still grabbing onto his bone-shattered right hand without loosening his grip, and he coldly said, "I shall ask one last time. Tell me all the news you have received about Su Ling'er, otherwise." "I will say it. I will say it." The black-robed Divine Envoy desperately nodded as he hissed out under intense pain. Six hours ago, I received news that someone in the mythical abode mountain range saw a person who was most likely Su Ling'er. This is all I know presently. This is all the news concerning Su Ling'er. Spare my life. I'm someone from 7 Stars Divine Palace. Spare my life." Hearing the black-robed Divine Envoy's words, Xianxia's body trembled. His eyes revealed an incomparably agitated glow. Mythical abode mountain range? Located south of the country of Supwake, separating country of Supwake and southern Sky Country was the mythical abode mountain range. The Cloud's End cliff, which he fell into back then, was exactly within the mythical abode mountain range. Xianxia calmed his breathing and continued. "If that's the case, according to the news received, I assume all the people of your 7 Stars Divine Palace are currently gathered at the mythical abode mountain range to capture Su Ling'er." "Yes," the black-robed Divine Envoy nodded tremblingly. "Good." Xianxia's eyes revealed a fierce light. "Right now, you shall do something for me. Immediately send a sound transmission to your people and have them stop chasing after Su Ling'er this instant." "Ah," the black-robed Divine Envoy's eyes widened. "Hero, there's something you're unaware of. The people chasing after Su Ling'er are all under the instructions of an elder in our Divine Palace. I am but a mere hall seat, and I'm only staying here to interrogate Su Hengxian. I'm basically unable to give them orders." Xianxia's expression sank and no longer wasted any more of his breath on him. His other hand suddenly stretched out, and his profound handle charged straight into the black-robed Divine Envoy's soul. The black-robed Divine Envoy's will had long crumbled under the fear and pain, and his soul was basically devoid of any retaliating forces. In an instant, the consciousness of his soul was infiltrated by the profound handle. Xianxia began to quickly retrieve his recent months' worth of memories. The causes and consequences behind all the Grandwake clans changes gradually surfaced in his mind. The history of the Grandwake clan was not considered long, and until now, with everything calculated in, it had only amounted to about 900 years. On the 600th year, when an ancestor of Grandwake clan headed towards the southern territory, he coincidentally saved someone who had been miserably hunted down and was at his dying breath. However, that person still ended up losing his life in the end, and right before he died, he handed a pitch-black box to him. Stored inside was something called the Coiling Dragon's Feeler. The Coiling Dragon Feeler was similar to the Emperor Awakening Heart Lotus, which Xianxia ate back then. It was something comparable to a sacred object that could be hardly seen in several hundred years. When Xianxia took the Emperor Awakening Heart Lotus, after being refined by the Sky Poison Pearl 6 years ago, she broke through into the Emperor Profound Realm from the Earth Profound Realm in just a single day. On the other hand, the medicinal effects of the Coiling Dragon Feeler were much fiercer than the Emperor Awakening Heart Lotus. Profound practitioners with strength below the Sky Profound Realm would immediately die from self-imploding when taking it, making it only usable for profound practitioners with strength comparable to and above the Sky Profound Realm. If a Sky Profound Realm profound practitioner took in a refined Coiling Dragon Feeler, that profound practitioner would immediately break through a large realm, achieving the level of a throne. Furthermore, 7 Stars Divine Palace also possessed a divine pellet that was ranked at the apex of the Azure Cloud continent and was famous throughout the world. The 7 Stars Heaven Crossing Pellet. Its effects were to allow someone at the peak of the Emperor Profound Realm to immediately break through that bottleneck, achieving the level of an Overlord, similar to the Overlord pellet of the illusory demon realm. And the material for the 7 Stars Heaven Crossing Pellet that was the most important and also the hardest to find was exactly the Coiling Dragon's Feeler. Even with the forces of 7 Stars Divine Palace, they could only find one an average of once every 200 years. Once traces of a Coiling Dragon Feeler could be sniffed, they would obtain it no matter the price, even if they had to annihilate an entire clan to seize it. That person who was saved by the ancestor of the Grandwake clan was precisely being hunted down by 7 Stars Divine Palace. Their reason was naturally to seize the Coiling Dragon Feeler from his hands. The ancestor of the Grandwake clan brought the Coiling Dragon Feeler back to the Grandwake clan from the southern territory. He was deeply aware that this Coiling Dragon Feeler was enough to allow their Grandwake clan to ascend to the skies, and was even more so aware that if this was exposed, a crisis of the annihilation of their clan would probably be brought upon them. He had hesitated for a long time over keeping it and personally handing it to 7 Stars Divine Palace, and in the end, he chose the former. He sealed the Coiling Dragon Feeler in an absolutely secret place and left behind a unique key, which was then passed down to every generation of clan master. Only when a genius with an upright conduct had broken through the Sky Profound Realm under the age of 35, appeared in the clan could it be retrieved with the key, allowing that disciple to take in the Coiling Dragon Feeler and achieve the level of a powerful throne. That person would then inherit the position as the new clan master, leading the Grandwake clan to even greater and more prosperous heights. All these were recorded in the secret codex left behind by that ancestor of the Grandwake clan, and this secret codex could only be read by each generation of Grandwake clan masters. Thus, other than every generation of clan masters, no one else was aware just what this treasure being passed down through the generations of Grandwake clan was. They only knew that only when a peerless genius were to appear in the clan could the treasure finally be retrieved. In these few years, Feng Xue'er had been harboring ulterior motives and had deliberately wanted to pry into the secrets of the clan treasure. Then, one time, he took the opportunity while Xianxia was not in the clan to overturn his inner chamber and accidentally activated a hidden profound formation. He discovered that secret codex and from then on, found out about the origin and secret behind the clan treasure. After finding out that one had to be at least in the Sky Profound Realm to take in the Coiling Dragon Feeler, and without sufficient profound strength, forcefully taking it in would be undoubtedly an act of suicide. Feng Xue'er was disappointed and resentful that even if he obtained it, there was nothing he could do with it. However, his foolishness and madness had led him to forming the thought of dedicating it to 7 Stars Divine Palace to curry their favor. But he did not speak of this to Xianxia nor anyone else. Rather, he secretly came up with countless schemes and at all costs, searched for opportunities to speak with people from 7 Stars Divine Palace face to face. After all, this was a huge merit belonging to him. He definitely could not make use of others to pass on the message. After 2 years' worth of hard work, he finally obtained an opportunity and informed a divine envoy of 7 Stars Divine Palace the news of a coiling dragon feeler being hidden within the Grandwake clan face to face. From then on, after Xu Heoran, who had received 7 Stars Divine Palace's commendation, returned to the Grandwake clan, he speedily collaborated with Su Hengyu, Su Wangji, and Blackwood's stronghold to force Xianxia to hand over the key to the treasure. With the terrifying 7 Stars Divine Palace as their backing, members of the Grandwake clan fearfully defected to Xu Heoran's side one after another. As for all those who were not obedient, other than Xianxia, they were heartlessly massacred, and their corpses were abandoned in the bamboo forest in the rear mountains. Xianxia's hand slowly loosened from the black-robed divine envoy's head. The peripheral light in the corner of his eyes swept towards the trembling Xu Heoran. With his head lowered, he slowly said, "It seems you did not lie. In that case, I shall keep my promise and grant you a pleasant death." Oog! Deep fear and despair surfaced on the black-robed divine envoy's face. Xianxia withdrew his hand, flinging the black-robed divine envoy onto the ground, and then stomped his foot. Spurt! Xianxia's right foot instantly stomped through the black-robed divine envoy's chest, heavily landing onto the ground's surface. A mashed bloody hole appeared in his chest from the stomp, and a large amount of scarlet blood, broken bones and organs fiercely scattered, sprinkling the surrounding area of about a dozen meters with stains of blood. The 4 limbs of the black-robed divine envoy spasmed before he completely went silent, no longer making a single breathing sound. Xianxia raised his leg, yet his leg was not stained even with the slight trace of blood. He kicked away the black-robed divine envoy's tattered corpse in disgust, and then his fingers gently moved. Bang, 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 bang. The trees of frozen end that buried all of the Divine Palace disciples heartlessly exploded. The Divine Palace disciples, who endured the long ice-hell torture, let out their final screams of despair as their bodies fragmented and shattered amidst the fluttering snowflakes that filled the sky. Looking at the scattered ice crystals and broken corpses, the large number of Grandwake clan disciples in the surroundings toppled onto the ground. Amidst their screams, as though they had awoken from their dreams, all of them dropped the weapons in their hands and fled in a haphazard manner. "Heh, still thinking of fleeing?" The corner of Xianxia's lips revealed a cruel, cold smile. His palms slowly opened and flames were ignited. The sky above the Grandwake clan was suddenly covered entirely in red. The aura of death hurtled down from below and blanketed the area. The fleeing disciples of the Grandwake clan screamed in pain and terror as they felt like they had suddenly been thrown into a blazing furnace. Just as a raging Xianxia was about to burn them all to ashes, Xianxia's hurried shout rang out behind him. "Xianxia, don't hurt them!" Xianxia's movement stopped for a moment, but he only stopped for just that moment. After that, he immediately flipped his palms as the flames that were hovering in the sky mercilessly exploded downwards. "Stop! Stop!" Those loud yells nearly tore Xianxia's throat. In an instant, the flames which filled the sky stopped in place while Xianxia's expression fluctuated. Amid the stifling fear which had seized everyone's heart, he finally took in a deep breath and withdrew his palms. The flames in the air had all been extinguished as well, immediately allowing the gathered members of the Grandwake clan to escape that terrifying and hellish furnace. After that, all of them sank to the ground limply, their bodies shaking in fear. Xianxia's lips trembled before he spoke in an agonized voice. "Spare them. 7 Stars Divine Palace." These 4 words are far too terrifying, so they had no choice but to go along. It was not even for their own lives, but for the lives of all of their family members. Their sin is not worthy of death. "Their sin isn't worthy of death?" Xianxia asked in a deep voice. "Then could it be that you committed a sin that was worthy of death? Or could it be that those other clan members, whose bodies litter the bamboo forest, deserved death? The ones who were truly loyal to the Grandwake clan have all died a terrible death, but these vile things who have betrayed their clan, renounced their ancestors, harmed their fellow clan members and clan master, and willingly became someone else's lapdog deserve to live instead." As he thought of his fellow clan members who had thrown their bodies in front of him and collapsed one by one in their own blood, Su Hengxian's heart was filled with agony. Tears streamed from his eyes as he spoke. The result of today's events is mainly due to the uselessness of this clan master and my incompetence in educating my own children. They meant to do me harm, but I am unable to watch them suffer injustice. Too many people from the Grandwake clan have died already. Let them go. Xianxia's words caused all the disciples of the Grandwake clan to bow their heads in shame, but Su Hengxian's words caused all of them to tremble violently. They felt so ashamed that they wished for death, and they were unable to lift their heads. Since Xianxia had already withdrawn his golden crow flames, he was not planning on wiping all of them out anymore. His eyes coldly swept across the surrounding area as he spoke in an incredibly dark and grave tone. Sincerely kowtow 10 times to Clan Master Su. After that is done, all of you are to disappear from my sight immediately. Also, you are never to call yourselves members of the Grandwake clan ever again. Xianxia's words were undoubtedly a special pardon for all of them. The gathered disciples of the Grandwake clan collapsed to their knees in panic as they heavily banged their heads against the ground as they faced Su Hengxian. Their kowtows were especially deep and heavy, and it was not only due to their desire to live. It was also because of the gratitude and shame that burned in their hearts. Clan Master, it is we who have wronged you. We are not even worthy to be called dogs or pigs. We will never have the face to ever see you again. We wish you all the best. Clan Master, in our next lives, we will definitely work like cows and horses for you in order to repay your great magnanimity. Tears streamed down the faces of some of the Grandwake clan disciples who had finished performing their kowtows. There were others who kowtowed tens of times, smashing their heads against the ground until their heads bled, and there were still others who bid farewell to Su Hengxian while kowtowing. They were too ashamed to look him in the eye. They made their retreat swiftly before all of them finally dispersed. Xianxia observed their flight coldly, but he did not block their retreat. Su Heioren, Su Hengyu, and Su Wangji were huddled together. All of them were planning on quietly creeping away, but a heavy, icy-cold aura suddenly pressed down on them, causing all of them to freeze in place. "Did I say the 3 of you could leave?" Xianxia's bone-piercingly dark voice rang out from behind them. All of 3 men trembled as they turned around. Their legs had grown weak, and they were on the verge of sinking to their knees. Their lips moved continuously, but not a single sound came from their throats. "Su Hengyu, Su Wangji," Xianxia said, his dark and tyrannical gaze piercing the 2 pale-faced men. 6 years ago, the both of you teamed up together with Blackwood's stronghold in order to intimidate and threaten Clan Master Su. Those actions were already equivalent to betraying your clan, and even if the both of you had been killed on the spot, it would not have been unjustified. But on account of your relationship with the Clan Master Su not only did not seize the opportunity to severely punish you, he even directly overlooked your actions, deciding not to pursue the matter any further. But the 2 of you were not only not grateful towards him in the slightest, you actually even conspired to commit such an ungrateful and ugly act. "And as for you, Su Heioren," Xianxia said as he gritted his teeth lightly, "as the young clan master of the Grandwake clan, you terribly harmed your own clan members and your own father for the sake of personal gain. You destroyed the foundation that the Grandwake clan had built up for hundreds of years in a single day. You are simply completely devoid of conscience, not even worthy to be called a dog or a pig, a person who deserves to be struck by lightning. So are you shameless enough to still think you deserve to live?" Su Heioren's entire body trembled uncontrollably before he suddenly knelt to the ground and started kowtowing towards Su Hengxian without stopping. "Father, I was wrong. I'm truly repentant. Save me please, Father." "You still have the face to call him father," Xianxia said as he slowly advanced towards them, his mind flashing with the most terrible and cruel ways to ensure that they died in great agony. "The fact that Clan Master Su has a son like you, and the fact that Linger has an elder brother like you is truly the greatest shame of their entire lives. All of you can go as well." Su Hengxian's disappointed voice rang out from behind Xianxia, causing their bodies to jump. "Never ever appear before me again. I have no desire to see any of you again." Su Hengxian's eyes were downcast, his voice drifting. It was as if he was talking to himself. Xianxia's feet ground to a halt, his face a cold and frigid mask. Su Heioren and the other 2 people could barely believe their own ears after they had heard Su Hengxian's words. All 3 of them widened their eyes as they climbed to their feet while shaking in fear. They tried to see if they could retreat a few steps, and after that, they practically bowled themselves over as they scrambled to flee like 3 dogs that had their tails snipped off. Xianxia stood at his original spot and did not pursue them. It was only after a long period of time that he finally turned around and arrived in front of Xianxia. Xianxia sank to the ground limply, his head drooping low amidst his unkempt hair. He muttered to himself, "Xianxia, my present state is definitely something that you despise, heh heh heh." He gave a miserable laugh before continuing. If it was any other clan master, they would have long ago leaped at the chance to personally tear them to shreds, but I was not able to do so. These past few years, I have always remembered our relationship as a clan and a family. As a result, I kept compromising and giving way to them, thinking that this would definitely be able to correct everything. But in the end, I am simply not fit to be a clan master. If not for my indecisiveness, compassion, and soft-hearted ways, the Grandwake clan would not have walked this path under my supervision. Xianxia's shoulders were heaving as hot tears flowed down his face. Xianxia did not deny Xianxia's words because 6 years ago, he had already seen Xianxia's soft-heartedness and compassion. Clan Master Su, perhaps you were indeed unfit to be the leader of a clan, but at the very least, you are someone worthy of respect, and everything you have done in your lifetime has been done with a clear conscience and is above all reproach, Xianxia said sincerely. Xianxia's shoulders stopped heaving at those words. He raised his head and steadily looked at Xianxia. "Xianxia, did you come this time for Ling'er? Does the current you still remember the words you said 6 years ago? Are you still willing to take care of Ling'er?" The Xianxia 6 years ago had given him a far too distant and hollow feeling. The current Xianxia had grown strong to the point where Xianxia believed that he would never be able to fathom his strength. During these 6 long years, he had never truly dared to believe that this kind of person would still be willing to marry his ordinary daughter. "I remember, of course I remember." Xianxia nodded with incredible vigor. "All of these years, I was not able to return because of circumstances that I could not control. But during the past 6 years, Ling'er has always been on my mind. Don't worry, I will immediately go and find Ling'er. I will definitely bring Ling'er back safe and sound, no matter what, even if I have to bet my own life." "Good, good." Xianxia's eyes once again flowed with tears. He could sense the pure sincerity and concern in Xianxia's voice and eyes. From the moment Xianxia had killed all of the people from 7 Stars Divine Palace for his and Ling'er's sake, he had no reason to not believe him. Xianxia stretched out a hand and retrieved a small and exquisite crystal. It was shaped like a rhombus and radiated a weak purple light. "This is," Xianxia unconsciously spoke. "This is Ling'er's soul crystal," Xianxia said softly. After that, he carefully and gently placed it in Xianxia's hand. Xianxia's solemn and dignified attitude made it seem like he was entrusting his entire world to Xianxia. As long as this soul crystal does not shatter, it means that Ling'er is still alive. If Ling'er is in the vicinity, its light will grow stronger. I beg you please definitely find Ling'er. Ling'er's soul crystal. Xianxia held it softly in his hand before gravely nodding his head. "All right. Don't you worry, I will definitely bring Ling'er back safely." "Good, good," Xianxia said with a light nod of his head, a small and relieved smile finally showing on his face. "Then I will entrust Ling'er to your care." Just as he was about to agree, he suddenly sensed that there was something wrong with Xianxia's words. Just as he had sensed this, Xianxia's entire body shook before his eyes lost their luster. His body slowly toppled to the side, a bright stream of blood running down the side of his mouth. "Clan Master Su!" Xianxia was so startled that the color drained from his face. He rushed to Xianxia's side at lightning speed, extending a hand to catch his body. But he discovered that his life force was swiftly flowing away like a stream of flowing water. This was the severing of one's own life veins. Xianxia instantly understood what was happening. Xianxia wanted him to be able to rescue Su Ling'er without anything distracting him, and he was afraid that if he still lived, he would only become a burden on Xianxia, which would cause him to delay his rescue of Su Ling'er. Besides that, he led off those disciples of the Grandwake clan, while feeling like he had let down those fellow clan members who had died for him, and acknowledging that today's result had all been his responsibility. Therefore, he chose to commit suicide by severing his own life veins once he had entrusted Su Ling'er's safety to Xianxia. "Clan Master Su! Clan Master Su!" Xianxia continued to shout, but Xianxia gave no response. This caused Xianxia to immediately recall what had happened all those years ago under the Heavenly Sword Villa's sword management terrace. His grandfather Xianxia had chosen to sever his own lifeline so that Xianxia could see the light of day again. Xianxia had done it for him. Su Hengxian had done it for Su Ling'er. He was indeed not qualified as a clan master, but he definitely was a great father. He could not save his grandfather all those years ago. The only thing he could do was kneel on the ground and weep. Today, while facing another such situation, how could he sit back and allow the same sequence of events to play out right before his eyes? Xianxia firmly gritted his teeth as he activated the great way of the Buddha with all of his strength. Instantly, a golden pagoda appeared over his head. Xianxia pressed one hand to Su Hengxian's brow and the other hand to his heart as he started to pour pure energy of heaven and earth into his body. He firmly sealed the last bit of life force Su Hengxian had as he tried to slowly repair his severed life veins. "Clan Master Su, don't die. Ling'er is still waiting for you. Don't die," Xianxia yelled in a low voice as sweat cascaded down his forehead. The eyes of the Ling'er who had zealously defended him during their past lives was forever clouded by melancholy that could not be dispelled. So how could he allow the Ling'er who had miraculously been given back to him to return to that previous condition? 15 minutes passed, and under the miraculous power of the Rage God, Su Hengxian's life force stopped slipping away and even started to slowly recover. Su Hengxian's eyes cracked open, his dull pupils slowly regaining focus. His lips trembled as he croaked in a hoarse voice, "Don't bother with me. Go save Ling'er, go and save Ling'er quickly. I will definitely find Ling'er and bring her back." Xianxia yelled loudly as his brows sunk, "But you definitely can't die either. If you die, then what will Ling'er do? Do you want her to be parentless from now on? Do you want her to live a cold and lonely existence with no one that she can rely on?" Su Hengxian muttered with a face filled with pain. Xianxia was already someone destined for death, so he would not be able to take care of Ling'er for life. Xianxia knew this well, but Su Hengxian did not. If Su Hengxian died as well, then Su Ling'er would truly be alone and without support. "Clan Master Su, if you really mean well for Ling'er, then you must live properly as well. Do you think that you are being very magnanimous if you do such a thing?" Bullshit. Could it be that you want to deprive Ling'er of her father at such a young age? Could it be that you want her to live a pain-filled life, suffering under the dark shadow left behind by the fact that her own father severed his own life veins because of her? You're just being selfish right now. It's utterly foolish. Even if you don't want to be reunited with your daughter, Ling'er she definitely wants to be reunited with you. Xianxia's roars caused the pupils of Su Hengxian's eyes to continuously contract. As they contracted, his eyes gradually grew hazy, and after that his eyes closed as he fell unconscious once more. But Xianxia could clearly sense that the will to die had completely vanished from his body. What replaced it was an incredibly fierce will to survive.